This is a horror game podcast. It is meant for mature audiences. It may contain adult language, violence, and sexual themes, as well as shocking revelations. Viewer discretion is advised.
Will my heart ever find its way back home? Will the tears that I saved for years take hold? These streets that once were paved in gold are letting memories go.
Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where tonight my friends and I will be playing the Mothership role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is called This Life of Ours. It was written by Morgan Llewellyn, who is also our warden for tonight, and this is a one-shot. So without any further delays, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Morgan?
Thank you, Thom. In the early days of humanity's colonization of the stars, favorable worlds were chosen as candidates for terraforming efforts. Several competing programs were launched to determine the best methodology for preparing planets for mass habitation. One of these programs was the Appleseed program, headed by the newly formed Gaia Research Group. The company purchased the colonization rights to a planet they referred to as the Cradle. Cradle was an Earth-like planet with well-developed plant and animal life, but its oxygen density was too low for human occupation. They looked through an endless pile of applications from eager volunteers, ultimately deciding on 10 families to send to Cradle. These families were brought there and landed hundreds of miles apart, virtually alone on an alien world, billions upon billions of miles from home. They needed to propagate the substance of Earth in strange soils. They were left with 10 years of supplies, but if they failed to grow crops, they would run out of food before the next starships arrived. 1 year had already passed since planetfall, and the isolation began to creep in. 10 families left on Cradle: Bali, Erickson, Huang, Valencia, Mohammed, Alvarez, Agbani, Carroll, Flores, and Ziffel. So carved out of the dense forest is a sizable patch of land, in the middle of which lies a single habitation block, several greenhouses, vats full of algae, and a slowly spreading farm. Outside of this habitation block is Gareth Ziffel. What are you up to, Gareth?
Oh, you're muted.
You're muted.
The extant forest, what is its respiratory cycle if it's not producing helpful oxygen and taking in CO2? In other words, how are we killing this planet so that we can revitalize it in the name of our species?
So essentially, the current biological processes, with them being in homeostasis, is not producing a net gain of oxygen. So the amount of carbon dioxide being turned into oxygen is about the same rate where oxygen by other organisms on the planet are being converted back into CO2. So you're clear cutting the more local plants in order to propagate Earth life that is has a faster cycling of carbon into oxygen. You're trying to basically tip the scales to replace slower metabolism plants with higher metabolism plants, / kill whatever local plant fungi, whatever is consuming the oxygen also needs to go.
So a year in, we've had significant opportunity to experiment with what agents and mechanisms wipe out the local fauna most effectively without doing too much damage to the soil so that we can treat it and put in our crops. So I've basically got my little laser wand and a spray bottle of an aggressive isotope of nitrogen that so I can cut down a thing and then I can spray its stump with something that'll make it well prepared for putting in seedlings later. It's slow and intensely tedious labor, but it gets me out of the habitat, which is necessary sometimes for a man to think.
One thing that I will mention before I forget, as I said, the oxygen is very thin on this planet.
Mhm.
So while you don't need full environmental suits, you need an oxygen mask and a tank. Otherwise, you'll pass out in several minutes.
Yeah, and it means that the workday has to be broken up into smaller subsections too, because I don't want to carry around a giant tank at full gravity to, just to work an extra 20 minutes. We're also laying track through the fields as we put them to make it easier to mechanize later stages once we get things, a little more under
The way we've
control.
rearranged.
So from the air, you see there's this whole tangle of forest, and then there's this neat, clear-cut block with neat rows of various plants and trees and algae tanks and what have you. So Gareth is, yeah, good.
I was just gonna say I come up over the ridge on my my scooter, heading towards Gareth, Paw. Paw, the that grove of sequoia that we planted for oxygen production, they're growing like wild. We planted them a year ago and they're already 23 feet high, most of them. I'd say in the next 10 years, they should be full size 300-foot, maybe taller.
Yeah, we might have to consider at that point how much they shade, whether we want to sever them down and use them to make raised beds. We'll have to see.
We'll certainly have a lot of seedlings by then that we can plant other areas. Maybe up on the ridge, we can plant a bunch of them up there.
Let's remind me to have Cosmo run some numbers on the shade benefit versus how much it's producing.
Yeah. I suppose he could handle that. I think he's working down in the barn.
Mother, what's the largest fauna we've seen within, a couple of clicks of our habitat?
You mean mobile or sessile?
I was thinking mobile.
Well, we've seen.
Oh, complications. We have two kinds of mother.
Oh,
I
is there
meant
another
warden.
mother?
I meant warden. It's mother and alien.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
There is the robot,
But
the computer.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as fauna is concerned, um, they're mostly small. There are no large predators. There's a lot of like things that graze on leaves or that burrow into trunks of trees, insectoid-like life forms, little mammalian-like life forms.
okay, right, consistent with the current low oxygen levels.
Yeah,
There's nothing that's
everything's small.
using a lot of energy to,
Some bloodsuckers, but the bloodsuckers don't like us. Our blood's completely wrong for this planet. They don't like our DNA.
Yeah, there's nothing bigger than your fist, basically.
But we probably don't know yet whether any of that is toxic or dangerous. Well, at least we haven't encountered anything like that.
and you know what I say, don't lick toads just in case it's fun.
Toads will lick you back. I'm gonna go head up to the barn, see how Cosmo's getting on. I will
Cosmo,
do
what are
that.
you up to in the barn?
Cosmo is going to make some inventory, try to see if there is any request for the company that needs to be fulfilled. He's not entrusted by his bigger bro to do any of the farming. And he's a little bit grateful because it finds it awfully boring. He's a weird apple in this farmland. He kind of likes the numbers. And I imagine he spent some time with Charlie as well, with the android, talking, and always bragging about how he could change at his just 10 years old the company into a better place should it actually be employed in the future there.
So I pull up into the barn. Cosmo,
Oh,
I assume
hi,
the
bro.
barn is on the inside. So once I've gotten into the barn, there's oxygen.
Mhm.
Cosmo, take my helmet off. What are you up to?
Oh, it's been good. Me and Charlie, we just were chit-chatting, making some inventory. Where have you been?
I've been up on the ridge. Did you feed the chickens?
Yeah, definitely. I fed the chickens.
Did you feed the chickens? Because they won't live if you don't feed them. Go feed the chickens.
Yes, Master. Yes, Master Ziffel. We did feed the chickens.
Chuck, don't call me Master Ziffel. I told you about that. Just
I'm
call
sorry.
me Eod. I'm going to have to alter your programming.
Oh, please don't alter my programming. The last time you did that, I ended up making nothing but chicken soup for 2 weeks.
It's good chicken soup, though. All right. Well, stay out of trouble. And I'm going to go in to the farmstead, the homestead. Ma,
You hear a slight mewing at your feet as Boson the cat comes up to greet you.
perfect name. Hey, Boson. I'll pick Boson. Ma,
Boson does not approve.
I'll put Boson down. Strange attractor.
I drag myself out of the little laboratory I've got set off from here for little side projects I've got. What is it, old boy there? What's going on?
You're busy. I'm sorry.
No. I'm never too busy for my kids. What's happening?
What do we got going for lunch?
Oh, Chuck's here, isn't he? Shoot, I was going to get Chuck to make something.
I'll go to the door and open it.
How does reheated? Yeah. Oh, you know what? What would you like for lunch?
Well, if you need help, if you're busy in the lab.
Yeah, I lost track of time. I know that I know, and I got to get your blood sugar levels up, and
Yeah. I'll take care of it. Go ahead.
You sure?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a darling boy. Thank you. Okay, I've just got to get to a couple more things here.
Chuck.
I come over to the house,
Yeah.
to the main living quarters. Yes.
Chuck,
How may I
mom's
be of
busy.
service?
Mom's busy, so we got to make lunch for everybody.
Oh, yes, we can do that.
Tell me what to do.
I'll
Chicken soup?
no, let's make something different. So we can yes, we can make a nice frittata. The chickens have been laying lots of eggs recently,
All right.
and the spinach is growing very nicely, so we will make some spinach frittatas.
Get what we need from the Back the freezer. You start prep. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so while Eod and Chuck are busy in the house, Gareth, you reach the edge of the property. Property is not necessarily the right term for it, but kind of where your
The current
the current
frontier.
the boundary between the cultivated land and the native forest.
Yeah, and I'm, of course, in case of future utility, photographing and recording any new flora or fauna that I come across that I haven't seen before. It's like, and that purple efflorescence, I'm not sure we've cataloged that. So, scan it, maybe take a tissue sample if it really seems novel, and then go about killing it.
Okay, so you collect a few samples, you start to spray your compound onto the plants, start using your laser cutter into the more tougher bark. And as you're doing that, you start hearing this strange little trumpety sound coming from the woods.
How high is the canopy of this?
Well, the trees aren't very tall, so the canopy is maybe 20 feet.
Mm-hmm. And when you say trumpety, does it sound like, well, it doesn't sound like any fauna, obviously, we've noticed before. Or it would
Right.
say, oh, that's one of the, tootle bugs or whatever. Does it sound melodic at all?
Yeah, a little bit. Um,
But it doesn't sound like a musical instrument quite.
no,
It's not
no,
like
not quite
one of
like
the
a
other families has traveled hundreds of miles and
to
they're
go
announcing
play
their
the
arrival.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
It's very high pitched.
uh-huh.
You could barely hear it over the sound of your sprayer. It's fairly quiet, but you haven't heard it before.
Yeah. I'll turn off the thing and I'll sort of hold my breath and sort of see if I can figure out the direction.
Yeah, it seems to be kind of off towards your left.
Huh. Well, if it turned out they had birds or something all this time and nobody'd spotted one until now, I'm gonna get in the newsletter. So I'm gonna keep my, laser wand and put my other equipment down and head off into the shrub.
You start making your way, kind of climbing over the tangle at the ground. Most things don't grow very high, but there's a definite tangle at your feet. And as you make your way through that, you find kind of near the ground or on the ground even, you see maybe 5 or 10 of these bluish creatures that could fit in the palm of your hand. They seem to have a number of spindly legs.
Cool.
And they seem to be squeezing air through their bodies that's making this trumpety sound. And they all seem very focused on digging.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna photograph that for a minute. See if they're going to dig up a resource that's interesting. Are they communicating by toot 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 tooting, or is one of them tooting and the others are listening?
You see, one of them will squeeze the air through it, and one or two will respond. Sometimes they'll stop digging and they'll make that noise, but so it seems to you like they're chattering, in some fashion.
Uh-huh. This is
Um,
not dissimilar to what bird life is like on Earth, semi-structured little organization. They're figuring out a resource together. I'm curious as to what they're digging up. So yeah, I'm going to maybe I'll do a little side clearing so I can make a little path around them and inspect their doings.
and they stop digging, and you see one of them pops down into the hole and starts to bury itself.
Hmm.
Another one pops in the hole and starts to bury itself. And one by one, they each start burying themselves in the ground.
Hmm. Some sort of little nesting phenomenon, perhaps. Maybe maybe they require multiple individual acts of procreation, and then when their party's over, they toot themselves into a hole. Are they so egg-sized with a bunch of spindly legs, blue
Yes.
with one kind of tube that goes
Yes.
through,
Mhm.
like blueberry bagels with limbs?
And
Uh-huh. Um, yeah. I want to come back and see what grows here after some time has passed. So I'm gonna head back toward the planned route, but I'm just gonna carve a path a little more clearly through so that it's easy to walk straight back to the spot and check it out. Maybe at a later shift or tomorrow.
okay.
And I guess when I get back, I'll upload that to the planetary link and see if anybody else has noticed these.
Okay.
I'm gonna call them the Ziffel toots.
Okay, so you work on getting that uploaded. Eod and Chuck,
Yeah,
how is the meal preparation going?
we've made lunch. We've probably got 5 minutes left. I'll go over and I'll hit the button on the wall that triggers the triangle to ring so that everybody on the farm knows that it's lunchtime.
Uh, I'll grab some of my work with me to kind of work as I go and come out of the lab and head over to the dining room.
Yeah, I think the
And I'll just be
table.
staring at a tablet and kind of like, oh, did you make that, Eod, or did Chuck make that?
We work together.
Oh, okay. Good consistency. Working well with Chuck. Good, good.
Don't forget
Did
what
you wash your hands?
Of course we washed our
Okay,
hands.
good, good, good.
But don't forget the rule. I mean,
Hmm.
we have to remain a family first and foremost. So no work at the table.
All right, dear.
Ah.
All right. If I can't stick by the rule, what kind of mom am I? Okay. She sticks the tablet under the table and turns it off. But she immediately appears very fidgety as soon as she's turned it off. It's like,
So does everyone gather? We stand and wait for Dad to come in.
I wonder what he's been doing all day.
He's out on the back 40 killing weeds.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, he's gonna get a sore back doing that stuff. I'll have to give him some painkillers or something. Cosmo, what have you been up to, you little man? What have you been doing all day? You're looking mischievous. What have you been up to?
Well, Mama, it's been a boring day, like most days around here, but I manage. I manage. I kind of want to get out with the tractor one day. I can get some books under myself and be able to reach the wheel. Should I struggle?
Oh, if you're ready, have you tried out on the simulator?
Nah, simulators are for people that don't trust
There,
themselves. I
no,
am
no,
very
it's okay to use a
good.
simulator to practice, dear. It's okay.
Look, I'll take you out in the afternoon and we can I'll
That
let
sounds
you
excellent.
I'll
Yeah.
let you steer.
Yeah. There we go. I think you're old enough to at least try to steer. That'd be
Cosmo
good.
gets very excited. Yay! Big bro
Okay.
taking me out in the wild.
Where's Dad?
Oh yeah, he's usually here before I am. He's so hungry. Is something keeping him occupied? Should I use the radio? Oh, just give me a second. Gareth,
Oh,
are you okay, dear? You're not here. You're usually here before I am for dinner. I mean for lunch.
yeah, I got sidetracked. I'll be right in. I
Are you,
found
are
a
you,
I found a
go
new
ahead.
life form for you to play with.
Oh, oh, like a new plant.
No, it's an animal. And
An animal.
it's got a funny metabolism because it's blue.
Oh
So
my goodness, an animal. Have you
yeah,
brought me a live
a
specimen?
social animal. No,
Oh,
they
are you social?
yeah, I'll show you the footage. It's pretty good.
Oh my goodness.
Be there in 10.
Yeah.
Don't wait for me.
No, no, no. I'm going to eat quickly now. Oh my goodness, boys. This is awesome. We've got an animal found. A
Oh,
native animal. This is very, very good, boys. This is very good.
I bet Pa names it Ziffel something.
He's allowed to do that if he found it. That's okay. It's all
Ziffel
right.
something.
It'll get some terrible Latin name later, I'm sure. And I don't want to remember that. I
All right.
almost think we should maybe. Oh no, we can't call off work. Okay. You just eat. Just eat.
The cat jumps up into Chuck's lap.
Well, Bosun, I start to stroke Bosun's head very, very calmly. And I just sit there and I watch the others eat.
You can almost feel, I don't know, Boson seems to be like nesting into you a little bit. Um, almost like it seems like her hair is like pricking up.
Interesting. Do I notice like static electricity that might be generating from her fur?
No,
Or
I don't know, nervousness.
hmm. Does she seem to be looking in a particular direction or at a person?
No, it doesn't seem to be directed towards anything.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just kind of keep her there on my lap, scratching her chin, backs of her ears.
Well, I'm thinking the Sequoia Grove, we could expand that. They're growing like crazy. They're probably sucking up all that carbon dioxide.
Mhm. They're going to get bigger, but they're going
A
to lose.
whole lot bigger.
The problem is, as the plants get bigger, they lose nutritional value. So there's a balancing act we have to play here.
Well, we're not growing them for food. We're growing them for
No, no,
oxygen.
no. But for anything for actual food, we're going to have to be careful. You don't want to have to eat a fruit this big to get the food value of one
No.
that size.
The spinach has turned out good.
Oh, well, maybe we could make something with it. Chuck, do you have a good quiche recipe?
It's in your frittata.
It's in your
Oh, is
frittata.
it? I didn't even notice. I've just been eating mechanically because I've been thinking about this new life form. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
It's okay.
you're right. There's spinach.
Yes, I'm experimenting with some new recipes, trying to work with what we've been growing.
Hmm.
I have to say, I've struggled with certain items. They don't seem to react as well. Yeast, for example, I cannot get a yeast bread to work in this environment.
Yes, that's unfortunate. We may have to make a special incubator for that or something. Don't worry about it too much.
Gareth,
I-
oh, go ahead.
No, I've go ahead. I'm
All
good.
right. Gareth, as you're approaching the hab block, it's hard to miss. There seems to be these kind of black or silvery arthropod pill bug looking swarms all on the undersides of some of the crops. There are like hundreds of crops of various assortments and kinds, and there are these animals just collected on the bottom of them. You're muted.
What size are these things?
The biggest ones are about the size of a marble.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And would you say they appear chitinous?
Definitely chitinous.
Uh-huh. Great. Something's figured out that it can eat our crops. It was only a matter of time until something figured out. It's like inverted Japanese beetles. It's all right. Uh I'm gonna anything for specimens. Yeah. I'm gonna scoop a couple of them into a little clear plastic screw top jobby. Zephy's gonna sleep for a few days with new video and new bugs to poke. Um, I assume we have some kind of sealed environment for things we bring in that we don't recognize.
Yeah. Zephy's lab has some isolation.
Yeah. So,
Sealed boxes that like you can stick gloves into and still work with what's inside,
mhm.
but they're sealed.
Yeah. So I'm gonna grab a couple of the things. How did they respond to being scraped off a leaf?
As almost any earth insect was, they seem to be, if anything, disoriented.
Yeah.
Like they're on their backs and they're like all their legs are like
Well, yeah, this is going to be a priority because we've got to figure out a specific toxin for these guys. Do the plants they're on look weakened yet?
not yet.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, I'm going to take a separate. I'm going to pluck a leaf with a few of these suckers on it and drop that into a separate container so we can see what the interaction is like. I mean, we could, there's a 1 in a million chance that they're going to find a little symbiotic relationship with a totally novel life form, and then we could speed up our work. So I'm going to go to the hab and sort of swing by and say, Zephy, I'm putting some samples in your lab before I sit down because I want to get those things isolated before anything else.
Boy.
Yeah,
Maybe
then
I
I'll
can.
join the table, and I don't know, we can break the standard rules and watch something while we eat because I found a new critter. What do you think?
Yes, please. I don't think I can sit here for too long knowing that there's something to look at. What do we got?
So I'm gonna show the video of the Ziffel toots in action.
They're
Weird.
gorgeous. Look at these little fellows. Oh, they've got
Can we them?
communication and they're doing something very deliberate here. This is fascinating.
Are they like mating or? I don't know.
Gareth, do you think they noticed your presence?
Warden, did they seem to acknowledge me at all?
They seem to be pretty preoccupied with what they were doing.
Okay, good. All right.
I mean, Mom, the genetic. I mean, are they more animal or more vegetable or something
Oh, it can
else?
sometimes be hard to tell. initially. You can have all kinds of things that are mobile that aren't animal. But initially, I would think an animal, of course.
The question is whether that color is because they have copper-based blood instead of iron-based blood, or whether that's an external coloration.
Well, it's not camouflage, of course. There's nothing blue in the environment they'd be using. So,
there could be.
If anything, it makes them stand out. Could it be a mating display, Gareth? What do you think?
It seems like a reasonable possibility, yeah.
Oh, yes, of course. It is a nice shade of blue. I mean, any respectable lady would find that attractive.
Yeah, and they're engaged in a group project, whatever it is, which is that's more.
How many did you get? Did you collect? You collected more than one, of course.
I didn't take any of them because they're burying themselves, and I want to see whether.
Yes. I need to set up some cameras then.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But I did bring you something you can actually stick a pipette into. There's some aphid-looking things on the undersides of our leaves.
That shouldn't be happening. Oh no!
And they're numerous, and I didn't see anything before. So either they grow really fast or they swarmed in.
No, that shouldn't be happening, Gareth. That is too soon. That is way too soon.
I don't know how they would.
Can I see the pictures? Sorry, go ahead, Ayad.
I was just going to say, I didn't think that anything here would be compatible with anything that we brought.
Well, exactly.
Maybe it'll kill them. I mean, who knows? Animals eat poison accidentally all the time.
I have a fear about this one, Gareth. I have a very strong fear about these. I need to look at them.
Well, Mom, you're done. I'll get the dishes, and Cosmo, you're going to get the dishes. I did the cooking.
Boys, you can have my dessert. I want to get back into the lab. You can
go look at the things Dad's talking about.
Yeah, I need to. I'm really worried about these aphids. This is not. What are you going to call them, Gareth? Do you have a name for them yet?
I don't know. You got an idea yet?
Yeah, you should name them.
Zaphids.
Oh, that's excellent. Good boy. Zaphids. That sounds good. I like that. Okay, let's check out these zaphids.
Assuming they bother the plant, because there's the chance that it's a deer rhododendron thing and they're going to die. And there's also the chance that it's the Japanese beetle and the rose thing and the roses will die.
Gareth, I'm worried about something worse than that even, but I need to take a look at them to confirm my suspicions. This is
After I eat, I'm going to go and see. I saw them on several different of our crops. I'm going to see if there's anything they're not eating or if there's a preference. See the percentage area of what they've covered and what they haven't touched yet. And dear, could you put some cameras down near the little blue fellows for me? Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay. I'd like to start recording their activities.
Cosmo, you could help me. You can keep track of the observations because you're much faster with that sort of thing than I am. After the dishes.
Cosmo's eyes turn to dishes themselves, and he will hurry to wash and finish the dishes to come in the exploration.
Is there...
In the future, doing dishes is just putting them in the machine.
Yeah, but still a pain. It's still a pain. Oh,
washing the junk off.
Yeah, but probably some discipline, he has to do it manually first.
Chores are good for you.
Is there any particular work that I should be engaged in?
I think actually you can. You should take the photographic equipment out to the area. There's a clear path that I cut. You'll be able to see. And you can communicate directly with Zafi as she tells you how she wants to aim those cameras.
I will do that.
So I'm going to, as soon as I can get back to the lab, I'm going to take one of these aphids and anesthetize it. Actually, how do we even knock this thing out? I'm just going to have to cut it open, I guess. I don't know how to knock these things out. I want to start taking a genetic sample, and I want to put it under various analysis. And what I'm looking for, because what I'm most afraid of, I didn't want to bring it up around the kids, is I'm looking to see if this is actually an earth organism of some kind. because there's a chance there's some other factors at play besides what's on this planet. So I'm going to confirm that it's definitely of this world and not something from our world.
Okay, so you take a sample and you kind of feed it into a computer to kind of cross check with other like Earth arthropods.
Yeah.
And so that test starts running. Are you going to wait for it to complete?
I mean, I can start some other side tests like, check the chirality of their DNA or whatever, just like, chemical compositions of their stomachs to see if they've got some of the plant matter in it, little dissecting things. And I'm going to let that run in the background. But as soon as it hits any kind of reasonable level of positive match for Earth stuff, I'm going to see what it compares to. And I'm also going to look for copyrighted genetics because it's not like our company doesn't have rivals.
Okay, so
that's what I'm worried about.
So as you have this looming sense of what could be described as industrial sabotage. So you can gain a stress.
Okay, I get stressed. I am stressed. It is official.
And yeah, as those tests are running, see, Gareth and Cosmo, you're going out to survey the extent to which these zaphids, as they've been so called, are on the farm.
Yeah.
Chuck, what are you doing?
I was going to get the camera equipment and set it up out into the woods to observe these new bugs that were found.
As you're gathering that equipment, Boson is following you.
Okay. At this, I won't pay him too much mind at this moment, but I'll pet him if he gets close to me. Does he still seem nervous?
Yes. I mean, as you kind of pull the camera equipment and things out, Boson kind of climbs up you a little bit and then squeezes herself into that little space that you've opened up by the removal of the cameras.
Okay.
And she meows at you.
What's wrong, Boson? What's got you all upset? Have you caught the scent of a local mouse?
Yeah, so she's trying to squeeze herself as much as she can into this space.
Is she trying to go with me, or is she just trying to occupy the space that I pulled the camera equipment out of?
Yeah, she seems to be hesitating between staying in the space or following you again. You kind of get the idea that she doesn't want you to leave.
Interesting. Okay. I think at this point, I'm going to pick her up and actually take her to Zafia and ask if she could do a quick diagnostic on Boson. So I come in with this cat.
Oh, Charlie, yes. Oh, Boson.
Yes,
how are you doing, dear?
Yes, I am concerned about Boson. He seems rather nervous. And
oh, does he?
Yes, and I get the impression that Boson does not want me to leave.
Well, he's bonded to you, perhaps.
I'm not sure. I was wondering if you might be able to do a diagnostic and.
Well, of course. Veterinary science is an early part of my training. I can take a look at him.
Sure.
As an android, Charlie, your calm demeanor is very attractive to cats. He might just be drawn to you because of your nature.
I suppose so. I do find myself, I'm fond of this animal.
He's probably quite fond of you. You probably put off no emotions or anything that would scare him. So he is going to bond you. But let me see if he's actually sick. Okay, come here, bosun. Let's see. I'm sorry, little dear. I'm gonna have to stick this up your butt. Oh, yep, there we go. Okay, let's feel. Okay.
Yeah, cat is very tense. Very
Oh
tense.
dear, very tense, very tense. Charlie, just stroke the cat. I want to see if that's going to help relax. And I'm
Yeah.
going to keep.
Yeah.
I'm just checking for like, if there's anything solid.
Yeah.
I'll check the stool. I'll check the eyes. Look at the teeth.
Yeah, the cat seems perfectly fine, health-wise.
Okay.
She just seems terribly, terribly nervous.
Is he acting like there's a predator nearby?
No, it just seems like the only other time you've seen cats act like this is like during thunderstorms.
Oh, right. Yes, they do have tremendous environmental sensitivities that still haven't been properly studied. Some cats have been able to detect earthquakes, for example. This is actually slightly worrisome. I wanted to study these aphids.
and at
I'm gonna
this
check.
point, Eod
Yeah.
walks in.
It looks like I got here just in time for the cat butt probe.
Yeah, well, it's the anal probe time for us all at some point.
Yeah.
But
I brought you some tea, Mom.
Oh, thank you, dear. Thank you. Oh, nice,
Oh,
nice. And you
Are these the little pill bug things? How weird.
Yes. Yeah, they are. It is quite weird that they're here, dear. This is very unusual. I don't think they should have. I could see it eventually happening because nature has a way, but it's too soon. Tell me, have you had felt any nervousness or sort of electrical feelings up the back or just sort of a sense of something being wrong, maybe
Me?
heart palpitations? Not sickness, but just like a sense of something in the atmosphere, like, before a storm back at home, anything like that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, be honest, I'm as happy as a lark.
Okay.
I love this place.
Yes, it's probably better than you would have had if we'd stayed back on Earth. I know that because
I feel like I've got stuff to do. I've got, responsibilities. I personally think the flora and fauna of this planet are gorgeous.
And they're going to get nicer.
Dad's got to kill some of it off, but
yeah,
I mean, he's got samples of everything that he's ever.
In an ideal world, dear, we're going to have a reserve for some of that stuff. I don't know if we're going to be able to make it happen, but I would like to see that. I don't want to see everything destroyed permanently.
We could find a way to coexist, but I mean, we're going to eventually poison the atmosphere for them.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a special reserve if we do have a zoo for it. You haven't heard anything on their weather reports, the geothermal activities, or anything like that? Anything unusual? Has any come up? I haven't been paying attention to the feeds.
I haven't either. I can go check. I'll go check.
Yes, please. See if there's anything unusual that's been reported. Yeah.
I'll contact the one of the other families.
Yes, please do.
Didn't write down.
You didn't write down their names.
The Ramses. You said them too fast.
Yeah, unfortunately. I tried to type them. Here,
I will just copy and paste their names into the chat.
Is one of them the Ramses? I'll call the Ramses.
No.
Just call the
Reyes. I'll call the Alvarezes.
The Alvarezes are nice people.
Yeah. They're down by the sea. We'll see if they've seen it. I'll call. So I'll go into the communications room.
Veronica picks up the phone or the radio. Alvarez.
Hi, Veronica. It's
Eod.
Yeah. Hey, our animals are acting a little strange over here. Kind of the way they do when there's a storm or an earthquake or something on the way. Have your animals been acting odd?
Well, I mean, most of what we have here are fish, so
I guess
they don't really react to much.
I'll
We have been noticing what seems to be a pressure drop.
Oh, so that could be, yeah, low pressure. That could be a storm coming. Hey, we also noticed on our crops we had some weird bugs.
Weird.
Little black metallic pill bugs. Dad
What?
calls them aphids.
Aphids.
Yeah.
Oh, we get, I mean, we get beetly things on our crops from time to time. They're pretty big though. They don't seem to be too harmful, but these, what you say, they're like potato bug looking things?
Kind of like pill bugs.
Yeah. No,
We're
we haven't seen anything like that.
Mom is studying them. She's taking a look at them, but I mean, we don't even know if they're doing any damage to the plants. They might just be staying out of the sun. Uh, Sequoias are growing really well. I'm gonna call a few of the other families and see if they've got any animals acting weird.
Yeah,
All
well,
right.
everything's fine here by the sea.
Uh, say hi to your husband, Peter. All right. Uh, click. Or I'll call the Ericksons. I'll call everybody. I'll call the Ericksons and the Huangs and the Carrolls and ask them similar questions. Are any of their animals acting strange?
So you start calling around. Um, it's more you learn a couple of things. One is that the families that are positioned near large bodies of water don't report anything.
Okay.
Families that are more inland, like you are, um, after you've mentioned it, you do get several. You get several reports back of peculiar insect behavior, um,
And
and
barometric
a
pressure.
few dogs are very skittish right now.
Okay. And is there also a drop in pressure from some of the others?
Yeah, and your own weather, your own barometer is showing a pressure drop.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as soon as I find all that, I go back to Mom. Um, uh, Inland people are reporting a few odd animal behaviors, but they also said that there's a pressure drop, like a storm is coming. That might
And
make
we
the
have,
cat act weird. They can
yeah.
sense the our barometric pressure is also dropping.
Um, do we have any satellite feeds that show information on, pressure fronts, cloud movements, any of that type stuff? Anything for
I
weather
mean,
prognostication?
robust. You weren't left with too robust of satellite
Yeah.
equipment.
Hmm.
Um, that's expensive. It's difficult to maintain
Right,
over time.
Yeah.
But I mean, what you do have, there doesn't seem to be like a storm,
right.
like rain clouds.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been here a year. Have we ever had a storm?
Yeah, they happen. There's precipitation. Um, it's heavier. It's heavier for the people by the ocean and kind of closer to the equator. You're a little far north for heavy rains, but you still get rain.
Hmm.
We've been here for a year. However, the planet we're on is probably not identical to Earth. How are the years here about the same length? Are they longer?
The years are shorter.
Okay.
Um,
So we've probably gone through maybe two cycles.
yeah.
Um,
Are we all on one continent or one island, roughly
we're all
speaking,
over
or
the.
are we spread over the world?
So kind of spread around the planet. There are maybe two other families on the same continent as you.
Okay.
Um,
I'm wondering if it's some sort of bug bloom, like what do they used to call them back on Earth? Cicadas. You know,
Cicadas or
they
locusts
can
or,
stay
yeah.
underground for years and years, and then every once in a while they all spring
Yeah,
up. Maybe that's causing
it could be that. Locusts have a similar phenomenon where they have very small numbers and they suddenly swarm, which is very devastating. Um,
and the computer
Yes.
alerts you that it's finished.
Okay, I want to see the results. What do we got?
It matches no DNA in the database.
Well, I'm reassured on that level.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to suspect one of the other families of, being traitors or something. So it's entirely alien DNA that we're dealing with.
Correct.
Okay, so it's an adapted DNA possibly.
I mean,
Did it look like, looking at the stomach contents of the bugs that we had, did it look like they were attempting to ingest our material, or was it just they were hanging out?
Well, it's hard to find what their stomach is. I mean, this is the first time
Yeah.
you open one up.
weird
Yeah.
biology.
But so back outside.
Yeah.
Chuck, you've gone to go put the cameras out.
Yes. Yeah. Once I found that Bosun was pretty much healthy, I decided to go on with my mission, put the cameras out. Yeah.
Yeah, as you're going out there, as you're moving through that tangle, that bramble on the forest floor, you hear lots of chittering and scurrying, as you seem to be as these bugs, insect-looking things start to scatter as you go. You've never seen them so thick before.
Interesting. Does it look like, are they skittering away from me or towards something?
Well, they seem to scatter as you discern what they were hiding under, but then they go back to going underneath. The ones that kind of climb up on top of a leaf quickly move to the bottom of it.
Interesting. And this is pretty much any kind of insect is exhibiting the same behavior.
Yeah.
Almost like they're trying to hide or get into a protected position for some reason. Okay. Yeah, I'll just make mental notes of this and continue on setting up the cameras.
Yeah, and as you set up the cameras, yeah, you hear this also, I mean, further into the woods, you hear this little trumpety, like this kind of high trumpet sound.
Well, that fills me with confidence and I know I'm in the right direction.
And back at the farm, it's Gareth and Cosmo. You're out doing a survey of the crops.
We're looking for indications that the plants are damaged and relative populations, which is sort of what Cosmo's job is, since he's the statistically minded child in the household. Do they seem bigger on some plants than on others? Do they radiate from a central area? Are there plants that they seem disinterested in? Uninterested in?
So, yeah, Cosmo, you identified, once you start doing a very thorough search, there seems to be about 5 insectoid populations that have come in. You have the black arthropods, you have more arachnid-looking brown colonies, you have some long green stick insect-looking ones. You have ones that are almost flat like coins.
These look very, very different environment-wise. So do I get the sense, these are alien life form, but do I get the sense that they gathered or scattered from other parts of the continent? Like they happened to pass by our farm, essentially. They didn't want to stop here, or the conditions are not that good for some of them here.
So you haven't seen some surveys were happening on the planet life, but to catalog every single species of every single plant and fauna, insectoid, what have you, that was basically impossible. They took readings of the atmosphere, they took some soil samples, and they're like, okay, this is an ideal candidate for terraforming. And then you were sent
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
You have not
Uh,
seen any of these species of insect before.
because I'm quite agile and I'm small, I'm going to turn to Garrett and be like, Papa, pass me some jars. And I want to follow and try to get different one specimen from each species, if I can, to get back to Mom to examine.
Yeah,
So
check your gloves first. First, I don't want you getting contaminated.
check.
Yep. I'm sorry, Warden, you were to say?
Yeah, so you with your gloves, you can easily scoop them off the leaves and put them into jars.
Yeah. And see if there's any sexual dimorphism among them, or if you can tell they're of more than one age. That might be helpful for your mother's research. I was hoping that this was a swarm that was passing through and stopped to suck up some sucrose. But what with this variety, it seems more like a coordinated attack. Like something's throwing different species at us to see what will be most effective. I mean, perhaps this biome over the course of a year has noticed that aberration. Well, honestly, we haven't made that much progress. Yeah, I don't like it one bit. Again, how can I see, for example, some insects when they attack a plant, the stems will deform, or the leaves will wilt, or they'll spot. I'll pick a crop that I know very well. Like we've got some hardy, long-leafed thing that just makes a lot of biomass at a root.
So yeah, looking at it, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of damage. Maybe some, like a few of the insects have like nibbled at it. But it's not very substantial.
And all these different kinds of bug, to be simple, they're underside of leaf things.
Yes, they're all underneath leaves.
So if we flip a leaf over into the sunlight, do they scurry around to the shady side?
Yes, all of them.
Well, if we can't figure out a poison, it'll be expensive, but we can set out lights underneath the plants and then they'll go away. Maybe. I don't much like it. I don't like the variety. Your mother's going to love the variety. I'm looking for acreage per week, not exciting new, whatever.
Cosmo, as you're out scooping your bugs into jars, you see a snowflake lazily drifting down from the sky.
Papa, it's snowing. First snow. I just read about this. I never seen one. Look. And I'm going to point out the slowly falling. It's a singular one because that would be very hard to spot.
You know,
Yeah, there's maybe one or two, a couple of these. Yeah, they look like snowflakes drifting down from the sky.
Do I sense a difference? Apologies. Do I sense a difference in temperature, like a sharp drop between where me and Garrett were staying and where the snowflakes are falling?
Well, I mean, you don't feel any difference in temperature, but
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
how much snow is supposed to come when it's cold, but there's snow here now and it's not cold, so
Wow.
that's novel.
we should go inside. Whatever is crystallizing is not water. So let's avoid getting these, say, in our eyes, and just shuffle inside with these samples. And I'm gonna radio Chuck too. He's the only one outside. Chuck, if you're in a place where you can stop work, there appears to be precipitation. I don't know what it could be, but don't even assume that it would be healthy for you to make contact with it. So finish whatever immediate thing you're on, please, and return to the habitation.
Yes, sir. I will return as soon as I can. And I will expedite my work and head back.
And you're coming from the very north of the property, let's say, from where Gareth was trimming away the tree line. So you have a long way to walk back to the habitation block. And as you're surveying what's in front of you, yeah, you see what look these white, almost like a dust cloud, this vast dust cloud that's rolling towards you. And you see all these little snowflakes coming down lazily.
I will run at that point to get back to the habitation zone.
Yeah, so roll speed for me.
Oh yes, that is a good pass. Roll a 10.
Okay, so you managed to zip your way through. And when you get to the habitation block, kind of look at yourself, and it doesn't seem like any have landed on you.
Is it possible to, like, do I have something that I might be able to, like, catch one of these snowflakes in?
So you take like a jar, and you very carefully goes down, and it goes in, and it settles in at the bottom.
Okay. I'll bring it inside.
Wonderful.
You're not going to believe this, but I think it's snowing outside. You're
Not
muted,
snowy,
Ma.
odd.
That's not possible, dear. It can't be snowing.
Well, it certainly isn't cold outside. Could it be something else precipitating
Hold on a
out of the
second.
atmosphere?
I'll head to the door of the barn and I'll look. I mean, does it look like snow?
It looks like snow. It's stark white. It's in little flakes. And at this point, as you're looking out, it's starting to pick up. It was a few flakes, and now it's a lot of flakes coming down.
Dad, Cosmo, you guys need to get inside. Something weird's going on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we're way ahead of you. Now, Zeffia, you know what we've talked about regarding the amphetamine use.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to dump a lot of research on you,
Oh,
but remember, you've
yes.
got to pace yourself.
Oh, it's okay, dear. I can pace myself. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I know how to do this.
Cosmo's got a bunch of new life forms for you to look at.
Okay.
He can explain the different
Mm-hmm.
shapes and colors.
Oh, good.
We've got a real infestation. It's not clear how much damage it's doing to the crops, but also
Oh,
something is precipitating out of the sky.
yeah. I
that
just
looks
noticed.
crystalline.
I'm terribly excited and afraid at the same time. I don't know how to process this, but I'm going to try to focus on work, and that's the best way to do with it.
What can form a crystal in the atmosphere at this temperature.
Hopefully not ammonia.
Can I make some kind of exobiology roll or something, Morgan, that might help with that?
Or can we get a sample that we can just analyze?
We have a
quickly?
sample. Let's just take a look at it under glass. Yeah.
Yeah, I brought one in. I've got it in a
Okay.
jar.
Chemical analysis.
Excellent, Chuck. That's perfect. Let's take a quick look at this and see if it is snow.
It hasn't melted when you brought it inside.
That's very not snow behavior. Okay. Let's use laser spectrography, hit it with a laser, see what burns off, do a chemical analysis. And to see what we're dealing with.
So yeah, you zap it with the laser, and it kind of puffs it up into the air.
Mm-hmm. They will analyze the particles that come out of it. What does it look like it's made out of?
As you kind of find some of the particles that have burst off from it, they look like cells, like animal cells, in kind of a hard casing.
No.
It's a re-entry vehicle for some animal life.
Like when spiders get blown around by the
Yes,
atmosphere?
exactly. I'd like spiders.
Spores.
Yes, but animal spores. Oh. Well, we definitely don't want to inhale any of that just in case. Where could it? We don't have satellites. I can't tell how far away this could have precipitated from. This could be from further inland or.
I think the point is that we need to seal the habitation.
Yes.
Put the air filtration systems on.
Yep.
We can watch through the windows. I assume that the variety of insectoid things is coming from these masses.
Or
we might be
hiding from it.
Inundated with them, or they're hiding from it, but they hid from the light too. But it's a thought.
Those little blue fellows buried themselves, you said. Maybe they know something we don't, obviously.
Yeah. This might be a seasonal infestation of some kind. So we need to make sure. Chuck, I'm going to put you on lead of making sure that all of the ports and ventilation things are in proper position. We'll check up on it later.
Okay.
I'm going to.
Ayad, you should contact the other families just in case. Give them some early warning.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yes, I did set up a few of the cameras per the instructions.
Okay. Well, if we're right, those little blue guys aren't going to come out. They're going to stay in there. But we should see what they're doing.
And question for the warden. So as me and Papa are already kind of getting close to the habitat, does the precipitation intensify? Do we notice that it's much more quantity or frequency-wise?
It seems the best way to describe it is like the progression of a snowstorm.
Okay.
Like first there's a few flakes, then there's more. And at this point, it's fairly steady now, like a steady snowfall.
Yeah.
And Eod, as you get to the radio transmitter, you get a call on the emergency frequency.
This is the Ziffel homestead. What's up? Are you guys getting precipitation?
This is Stacy Flores.
Stacy, what's up?
Look, Alexander's in a bad way. He's not breathing.
Oh my God! What happened? Did he?
He's coughing real bad. He can't breathe. We brought him inside.
Is it snowing where you are?
Yeah, it's weird.
I don't know what we can do.
He can't breathe. We need somebody with medical experience. Please, anybody.
I don't know. I think there's some sort of a spore bloom or something going on. It's all over the place. It's snowing like hell here. We're all sealed up inside. I'll tell other people as well. I'm calling around. Get him in the shower. Make sure you wash all that shit off of.
And you just hear this very panicked, "Oh, okay."
Uh, I'll then go down the list: the Bollies, the Ericsons, the Huangs, the Lynches.
So
Some of them, it's
you,
probably not snowing where they are
again,
yet.
people who are by large bodies of water don't notice anything.
Okay.
Those who are inland are all now reporting this snowfall. And there are several members of the community that seem to have been caught outside in it.
That are ill.
And they're all having trouble breathing at this point.
It's probably some sort of spore. I'll relay this all back to mom and dad. It seems to be a storm of some sort, maybe of their spores. Breathing them in is not good.
That's why we locked all the doors and windows and turned the ventilators on.
But everybody's cut off from one another. The Floreses need help.
Right.
I don't know
Morgan,
what
can
we
I
can
set
do,
up
though.
can I set up like a remote doctor type thing to the Floreses to take a look at somebody? Like as a remote presence thing? Is that something that can be
scanner
done?
sort of.
Yeah, so you can get that set up. You're starting to get interference over the radio frequencies.
Right, all this biomass is airborne.
Yeah, so it's hard to
There's
establish.
static.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of static. So you're having difficulty establishing communications. And at this point, looking out the windows, it looks like it's a blizzard outside.
We have no idea how long this is going to go down for.
Somehow
Yeah,
I feel like I didn't do sufficient research. Just a hunch.
Well, we
Well,
couldn't have prepared for this, dear.
we've been here for a year, and the planet's already gone through 2 cycles. Who could have?
Oh, I know, but some
Yes.
cycles are much
Yeah.
longer than that. We
You mentioned
obviously,
cicadas earlier.
yeah,
They should have been monitoring this for.
Is it
of course
some
they
kind of a
did.
plant spore, or? I mean, you've got.
When you say animal life, you mean not plant life, but more like a microbe, or what are we talking like?
I mean, like the way mushrooms reproduce, they produce spores instead of seeds, little packets of genetic material. Just, they get in everything and then start new mushroom colonies. You're the botanist. uh,
Quick question for Cosmo. When you went to feed the chickens, did you close the door?
I would say Cosmo would forget, but then Charlie would immediately remind him about that.
Okay.
Sorry,
somebody else was saying something. I just wanted to. Oh, yeah, it was you. Yeah, Cosmo.
Yeah. And I'm going to extract the jars with the specimens and be like, here you go, mommy. Probably 55.8% of the fauna from these surrounding areas. I'm wondering, in my childish curiosity, what would happen if the thing that Charlie collected would be to make contact with one of them?
That's what I'm thinking, dear. We should see what it does to the native life forms first. That'll give us an idea.
I want to look.
Okay, you can watch, dear. We'll collect another sample and we'll put it in a container with one of these bugs and let it fall on the bug and see what
Okay, so
happens.
you're
dear.
going to go get more of the snow-like stuff.
We
Did
can
I do
so.
that?
yeah, let the robot do it.
Probably yes, but we're going to have a decontamination procedure set up for you when you come back in.
Yes.
Let's do that. Let's set it up before you go out.
To be
Yeah,
perfectly clear, I was concerned about the fact that we didn't know what was coming out of the sky before we learned that other families were getting sick.
Mm-hmm.
So science should take a second place to safety,
Right.
right? So
But
if you can get a small sample of the material, keep it isolated from everything.
yeah, I only need a small sample to work with. It doesn't need to be a large one.
Well, it's probably accumulating at the foot of the airlock. So
We
Yeah,
just have
it's
a little
accumulating
vacuum
everywhere.
cleaner.
I'm
Is
not
it,
sure we're going to have solar power in 24 hours, depending on how big the source of this thing is.
oh no.
Look at how quickly it's drifting.
We're going to have to convert to some kind of hand crank or something.
well,
Maybe.
we've got battery backups and
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
Can we reliably put a jar on a stick and just get the stick outside through the window and have
Like-
the produce fall into it?
our windows don't open to the outside because it's a different atmosphere.
Oh yeah, you're right. So
There's
we
got to
have
be airlocks.
Okay.
But
Well,
Charlie
you seem
doesn't have to breathe, so he can he can
Hell,
he can
Charlie
open
could
up
go into the airlock, open the door, inhale a
Take-
bunch of the stuff,
or just
come
get a
back inside with
jar.
his mouth shut, and then exhale it into one of the atmospheric chambers if we wanted to be unnecessarily baroque about it. The point is, we want as few of these things inside in our open
Right.
air as we can get. And all of the insects that we think might be either hiding from this or be seeded from it need to be thoroughly contained as well.
Right. Well, we've got them in chambers that keep their atmosphere, so they should be in different, isolations. Um, yeah, I see, just get a jar of the stuff and keep it sealed. Uh, but I've called everybody on the list. Um, I've told them to take shelter inside.
Mhm.
I've talked to Sam over on the thing. He's got the most medical knowledge. His two kids are both doctors, but I don't know if they're going to be able to get to the Floreses. Not out in this stuff.
No, they shouldn't go out in this.
No, I think this is the distances involved are outrageous for travel. It's about information sharing, recommendations for treatment, which is going to be, given the limited degree of planetary xenobiology we have, and that this seems like a novel phenomenon, we're going to have to pretend to pray. Remember the prayer protocol?
Yeah.
Oh, I never
When we get a
understood that. How
chance.
does that work?
It
It doesn't make any sense to me, Gareth. It's like
it's a useful binding ritual for
right.
primates. Right now, we're
We're so bound already. Why do we need to talk nonsense? It's very silly.
Warden, how often do we hear from Gaia Corporation or report to them?
Reports are kind of done on like a biannual basis.
Yeah.
It takes time to get radio signals to and from with any reliability.
Yeah, I assume there's some jolly red button to hit. So I'm going to go to the jolly red button room and make a preliminary report so that whenever transmission is next possible, we can tell them that the colony might be dead and also ask them if anything parallel to this has been experienced on other colony worlds. They might have some data that can help us before it's too late for treatment. My hope is that this is going to blow away in 48 hours as quickly as it came in, and we could just stay locked down. But on the off chance that it's a long-term thing, I want to get the company involved.
You can imagine if it's spores, if it's some plants out there that are spreading their spores, obviously most of them aren't going to survive. Otherwise, the planet would be completely overgrown and covered in whatever that is.
Yeah, and
so it'll probably blow over, like you say.
Well,
this
if we
quantity of biomass has to have developed over a period of time, and so
Right.
it has to be, underground or whatever, dormant for a period of time.
well,
But there,
if you think about it, if burying yourself is a sufficient protection, but hiding under a leaf is a sufficient protection, and the animals know this, the amount of snow can't ever get up to the point where it would be reaching the plants and the insects would be making contact with it otherwise. Like, if it's just enough to be in the shade of a leaf, how bad can it get? Or otherwise,
Well,
what's the point?
if the animals hide underneath the leaf to get out of the stuff, they don't always realize they're choosing a bottom leaf or a top leaf. So the bottom
Right,
leaf ones
but
die anyway.
right, because it comes up to their level. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and of course, that's how the plants, whatever it is banking on that because that's how it reproduces and
Yeah.
spreads. We
Oh
assume
dear.
this. We haven't seen if anything happens yet
And we can't get through to the family
to
with the
the
sick.
bug.
Oh,
Well, they're on their own. I mean, it's just the frontier we're on, you know.
whoa.
and you said, yeah, that it was respiratory symptoms he was having.
That's what she said. She's having real trouble breathing. He must have breathed some of it in. How are you
Honestly,
Guy in
guys
his
feeling?
lungs.
and if they look enough like snowflakes, they're probably kind of sharp.
Oh, he might have
Yeah.
lacerated bronchi, of course.
Yeah.
Cosmo or Cosmo and Dad, are you okay? You didn't breathe any of that in.
I insisted we get inside as soon as we saw, more than a handful of flakes coming down.
How is the one that we got in the jar acting? So it's not melting because it's not actually snow. Does it
The
move?
one that you brought in, you destroyed with a laser.
Yeah, we vaporized it.
Oh, we vaporized it.
That's what happens with laser spectrography.
I do think that it's a wise idea to find out what the hell's going on, though you
Oh,
might want to wait until the storm is over.
yeah, I mean, if we can find out how the native life deals with it, we might know how to work against it. I suspect the little blue fellows probably have a better sense of it
They
than the
buried
insects do.
themselves in the ground.
Yeah. And those little toots might have been warnings to assemble and bury yourself.
And the cat didn't seem to be able to sense that something was wrong.
Yeah.
Where is
So that might have been
Bozo?
the pressure.
No, he's in with us. We haven't let him out.
Yeah. But where is she in the house? I want
She
to.
is still hiding in that little cubby where the
Yeah.
cameras were.
Oh, I'm going to join her and try to help her relax. I'm small enough to get
Gar,
near.
Gar, Garth, since we don't know how long this might last, I think we might want to prepare a regime of extending the food and stuff for whatever might be a reasonable period of time. I mean, if this turns into a month thing or longer, I mean, we don't know, right?
We've got lots of dry stores.
Yeah.
Yes, but
We've
we don't
also
want to
got a
just burn
lot.
through stuff.
There's probably a lot of our vegetable garden that we do grow under tents so that it's in our atmosphere and not in, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's again, if we have solar power issues, or if this lasts for weeks, then we'll have, the greenhouse will suffer.
Yeah.
But we don't need to start rationing things and panicking.
Yeah.
We want
Okay.
to stay strong, if anything.
Right.
Which again, mind the amphetamines. I know there's a lot going on.
Well, I'm going to sit
So
near the window and watch, see what happens.
yeah, make observations. That's a good idea. And if anything comes in that's noteworthy, I'm composing something to send to the company. As far as we know, this is a unique phenomenon, and it might prove valuable to record it, assuming that anybody ever hears our voices again.
Morgan, I'm going to, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say something odd. How could he have breathed it in? We've got rebreathers. Could they have gotten it in their house and in their homestead?
Honestly, You've not seen snow before. The first thing I thought of when the snowflakes seemed to fall out of the sky was sticking my tongue out and catching it. That's something we used to do. Just a little moment of cold. So somebody might have unthinkingly
Done that.
Yeah, or they let it drift up, and then yeah.
Or it was on
Skin
their mask when they took
contact.
their mask off.
Skin contact, it might be a toxin that could act on the heart or the lungs as well.
And we're assuming it's respiratory, but I was worried that Cosmo was going to get one in his eye. So maybe it doesn't even have to be inhaled.
Right.
Some things travel from one system inside a body to another. Gosh.
We need to set up secondary decontamination procedures for the doors if we're going to send anyone out to collect samples. So we're going to build that first, Charles, before you go out. Because you want to make sure you're thoroughly cleaned if we do send you out there, okay?
Yes, and I was thinking, should I wear a vac suit?
You should protect yourself, yes. You might be vulnerable to something. I don't understand what it could do to you, but there's no point in taking any risks for you.
I was thinking that might help to reduce any contamination back into this zone. I can wear a vac suit, do a decontamination process, and then take the suit off and then come back in. That's
okay.
Might be helpful.
I'm going to try to get the closest I can get to level 4, Morgan, is what I'll try to help set.
You don't even have to go much out into it, or just have a stick with a jar on the end of it and you can scoop some of that stuff up.
Yeah, exactly. Don't get yourself too far into it.
Stay in the airlock. But
Cosmo, I'm glad you got so many samples. At least one of these bugs must have a useful response to it. It's almost certain one of them has some way to deal with it.
Do we notice anything other? How deep is it getting outside?
At this point, we'll say about an hour has passed and there's about an inch.
Okay. But it's not melting, so it's
not melting.
It doesn't melt. It's probably seeds, not spores or something. Can Charlie get us a sample?
Yeah. What I want to give him is something like a little vacuum cleaner thing that goes into a little sealed container almost. Just goes.
Now I was gonna take Cosmo's idea and get a jar on a stick.
Okay.
And I'll put on a full vac suit, go into the airlock, and so I'll open the door to the outside and try to get a scoop of snow.
Okay, yeah, you open the door, you go in, you scoop some of it up. The door. Very easy.
Got to clean the stuff up that's sprinkled in from the door.
Yeah, we'll do a full decontamination process, because I'm sure there should be something in the airlock that does that. And
decontamination, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you undergo the decontamination procedures and you come back inside with a jar full of the stuff that's falling from the sky.
Shiny.
Yeah, I'm holding it away from me and carefully bringing it in.
We got tongs. We'll take it in the lab. Put it
please
in a
tell me it's got
container.
a lid on it so that
yeah.
Here's your sample.
Start sprinkling it on your salad.
Oh yes, it looks so tasty. Okay. Yeah, throw it over my left shoulder.
It's cocaine.
Well, don't get started on that, Eod. You're too young. All right.
Okay. So what tests do you want to run on it?
I wanted, well, we never got any of the little blue guys, so that's fine. I'm going to see what I'm going to one at a time and not like a whole bunch at once in case the effect is ridiculous. I'm going to try some on one of the bugs just to see what the response is.
Okay. As you take one of the flakes and you put it onto a bug, the bug starts to have full body spasms.
No.
As you see that this starts to basically get absorbed into its back,
Hmm.
and eventually it just curls up in a ball.
Okay. We'll take a tissue sample to see if there's something breeding in its body. I mean, is it death or is it breeding somehow?
It'd be like a wasp that stings its prey and then its young grow inside. Maybe
Yeah.
it's leave one for observation and see if anything happens.
We don't
Or
know
if
how
a
long it
plant
takes.
sprouts out of it and starts to grow.
Yeah, we don't know how long it takes for it to mature. Um, I do just want to see if I can get a sample under glass to see if I see any kind of, warring activity between, a half dead bug and something invading it, or is the bug completely dead? It's a cadaver now, and something's kind of playing around in
So
its body.
it seems to you that when you vivisect the poor thing,
Yeah, I
um,
know. I actually
it
feel sort of
seems
guilty.
more paralyzed than dead.
Oh dear. So it is like the wasp, like you were thinking, I had.
Wants its prey
It wants its prey
alive
alive.
and fresh.
Can I see it? Is it undergoing any kind of necrosis at all? Is there any
Again,
kind
this
of deep?
is how long are you waiting? Um, that's the real question.
Probably have to
You
observe
know,
it over the course
It
of
took it.
days.
I mean, it took less than a minute for the thing to be absorbed into the bug.
you're right. I do have
Um,
to give it a little while for it to actually do what it's going to do. So okay. I don't want to accelerate the process.
are there any other tests that you'd like to perform?
I have a feeling it's going to do the same thing to the other bugs.
Can I do a microscopic, uh, like atomic a microscope analysis to see if it's a life form or a chemical,
You mean the actual snowflake?
the snowflake itself?
Yeah.
So, looking at the snowflake, it looks like, well, it's very bizarre because the first thing you think of is a plant cell,
Mhm.
like a cell that has a hard cell wall around it.
Right,
Mhm.
But what you get instead is that there seems to be a definite nucleus, not what you would see in like a virus that's just some DNA and a protein shell,
right.
but it seems like it is a cell that is surrounded with some kind of protein
Yeah,
shell or kind of a calcified protein shell.
not made out of earth protein, but
Mhm.
uh, it's definitely something alive, like a seed, like a spore. Um,
Well, it's got to have some way to, when it makes contact with the flesh, to do its toxic effect.
I can't tell if it's iron, copper, or silicon based. It might actually be silicon based. Uh, what
It's
does it
gonna.
look like under the microscope? Is it like little needles?
It looks
Long
very sharp.
needles. Maybe it
Um,
just gets through their carapace like little needles and breaks off.
But have a different effect on a human, which might explain why it took that poor fellow longer to notice and his lungs started getting
Yeah,
sick.
might
I
act
wanted
like
to,
a virus on us.
yeah, I wanted to suggest we can put a piece of cloth or material or something on one of the bugs and see if it can penetrate material like something from a vac suit and then enter and still have power to penetrate the chitin armor of a bug and get inside of it.
Yeah, because it might be sharp enough to get through the vac suits.
Well, it doesn't have to be that sharp to get through an insect. I mean, diatomaceous earth does that all the time.
It gets into the cracks. There's always cracks.
Yeah, it's actually the chitin of that scale isn't that effective.
I'm thinking we need to just hunker down and wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully the rain comes or something and washes it all into the river.
Cosmo, if we lost all had we lost all contact with the outside, or are there still people trying to talk?
Again, with all the stuff in the atmosphere at this point,
Mhm.
you're getting a lot of static.
A lot of static. Okay.
Static electricity with all that stuff.
What I want to check for, Morgan, is there any kind of structural damage? So I want to run some diagnostics on one of the computers and try to get a health of the habitat, of the infrastructure. Any kind of damages?
As you're doing that, you're all become kind of maybe subconsciously aware of that constant hum of the air filters.
Mm.
Oh,
They
you better
shouldn't
check
be.
those too.
They shouldn't be venting to the outside. They're recirculating our inside air.
Mm.
Atmosphere, we should be hermetically sealed from the outside, but our water reclamation might also, I don't know. Cosmo, help me. We'll check the systems.
Yeah. Definitely try to get a view on the situation.
The weight of this stuff, I mean, on the top of the greenhouses, it's just,
A good question.
industrial plastic film. It might rip its way through accidentally. It's sharp.
Morgan, I'm going to try some of the samples and see how they react to various common household materials, oils, plastics, glycerins, just to see if there's anything that seems to have a particularly repulsive effect to it or seems to work against it.
So things like oil and plastic, it doesn't seem to have any it kind of just sits on top.
Okay,
And
good.
when you put something like cloth,
Which is organic, of course.
it
Okay.
starts to bury itself inside of it.
Oh, it actively buries inside of it. Is there almost like a small, almost like I don't want to say muscles, but there's some kind of activity that gets generated by the contact, which
Yeah, it seems
leads
to have
it
some
burrow.
kind of reaction.
Right.
There could be microscopic barbs too, so that it can only get
Yeah.
deeper and deeper.
Yeah. Okay. But it doesn't like plastic. It doesn't like, okay. It does like cloth. The vac suit, we wouldn't burn to a vac suit, would it? Really don't have-
It's probably mostly.
Yeah, that's synthetic.
Yeah, synthetic. Okay.
After sending my confused message off to Gaia Corporation, I repaired briefly to the greenhouse, which is where I keep the still. Because there's a reason that Johnny Appleseed planted all those trees, and it wasn't for fruit pies.
Applejack. Applejack.
And then, brooding upon the matter, I check in with my dear wife about the contaminating the insects question. And it strikes me that if the star snow is not killing these bugs, but parasitizing them,
It appears to be going that direction, yes.
and if it's gotten into Alexander Flores' system,
That's why I want to be able to communicate with them, but we can't help now. It's terrible.
the
But
static's too heavy.
The thing is, I mean, because he's human, it's not going to have the intended effect. It's probably just going to kill the poor man. But I mean, I don't, I feel, what can we do? We can't, we're so limited with our ability to communicate with this, what we have with us. I mean, the other families have scientists too. I mean, hopefully they're thinking hard about what's going on and trying to deal with it.
The last reports we got,
Hmm.
this wasn't affecting
The
the
coastline, yes.
families that live near large bodies of water. I wonder if we can divert our irrigation system.
Oh,
We don't have that much water.
yeah. Morgan, how does the snow react to water?
In water, it seems to does dissolve.
So it doesn't like the water. Okay.
It could also just be, low pressure over the land, and it gets higher towards the water, so it just doesn't blow that way.
But if the spores dissolve in water, they dissolve in water. Can
So, I
we
mean,
set
I'm going to
up?
check the water just to make sure there's no, just
Oh,
like
yeah,
concentrate
investigate
in
the
the
water.
water. Want to make sure the
Yeah.
water is actually dissolved it so there's nothing
Yeah, you find significant genetic material in the water.
active genetic material or just kind of like dead genetic material.
Well, there's a way to answer that question. You have several jars full of bugs.
Okay, here we go. Oh, God, I feel so bad for these little guys. I'm going to put a little bit of water in one of the other bugs.
And that bug starts to spasm and curl up into a ball.
Oh, no.
All right, so the
Water doesn't help.
No,
solution is not going to work.
it's just getting rid of the casing around the spore,
Yeah.
which is this sharp stuff, but the spore is still there. Oh,
Eod,
boy.
you'd like to meet some other people someday, wouldn't you?
Well, I've met a few of the others, when we had the get together.
6-month hootenanny. Yeah, that was something.
But what were you going to say, Pa?
Well, any word on the ventilation?
Oh, how does it look?
The ventilation seems to be operating fine for now.
I think everything is okay. I haven't detected anything. We might just have to hunker down for a week and wait it out.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether that water experiment's troubling. I was thinking we could make ourselves a cozy little sauna so that we could fill the air with lots of water molecules and reduce whatever airborne percentage is available. But if it just makes it slip in faster, that's no good. We should all start wearing rebreathers inside, even though it does appear to get in through the skin, but it won't hurt.
I wanted to say that's a very good idea, Papa. How does the infected water react to being heated up? How resistant to heat is the organism, the genetic material?
That's a good question. Yeah. Heating and freezing.
Okay, so it seems to be, it's not an extremophile by any sense of the word. It does not stand up well to extreme heat or extreme cold.
So
which is reasonable.
So if you burn it, for instance, it died. Like
the laser destroyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, the laser destroyed it.
The weather is nice outside, so it's right at the temperature that it needs to spread around. So make it colder or hotter, and
yeah, maybe outside it's maybe 65 degrees.
Yeah,
Fahrenheit.
What's that in Celsius for the Canadians?
Sorry,
that's
hold on.
Around 20 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's actually quite pleasant.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right. How long before the cold weather?
The Canadians like 68 degrees. Holy shit! How are we all still alive?
Yeah, no, 20 is great. I love 20. That's nice and balmy.
It's why I added the temperature gauge onto my computer.
That's good to know that.
It's come up enough in our game.
Do we have a winter on this planet? Do we have it where it gets
yes,
nice and
and
cold?
it is where you are on the planet has seasons.
Mhm.
It's usually the summers, like right now, it stays in the winter, it drops below freezing. In the summer, maybe gets up to 78.
So we're in Ziffel August. No, we're in Ziffel September.
Yeah.
So we're at
Right.
harvest time.
Yeah,
And
about.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about greenhouses, though.
so then maybe we can assume that the spores or the plants that come from the spores like the cold better than they like the heat.
Oh, you
Because-
Well,
sure?
that's not good news.
No, I was
because the
kind of hoping
winter
that
is
the winter
coming.
would put an end to them.
But why would they spore just before they'd all be killed by the winter?
Well, no, but
Well-
if the animals they infect undergo a change that carries on to another stage,
Oh, maybe.
the spores can fail and die in the winter. We have to find out what happens to the animals after they're infected.
Do we,
I don't
though?
Yeah.
Shouldn't we just burn everything once we determine that it's contaminated?
Well, if we burn everything, dear, we won't know if there's something else to be worried about.
Part of the natural
Like, what if something comes
ecosystem.
out of the ground 3 months from now and is a threat to us that we didn't anticipate because we didn't pay attention?
I want to check out the cameras that we had Chuck set out. I want to see if there's any indication of the little Ziffel toots. I'm beginning to suspect that they didn't stop digging.
They wanted to get away from
They
whatever
buried
it was.
themselves under an inch or two of soil and then they kept going. But we
So
might
they-
be able to tell if there's a depression in the.
Yeah, you look and your hypothesis seems to be right. They didn't stop digging.
Did you say they were sort of a little rotund too, like they were a little bit plump?
Yeah.
So they've got some food in their bellies for their digging time.
They're hibernating.
Well, no, they're hyper digging, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call that.
But you know, that
Oh.
actually is that's kind of good news too, because if this is something that takes place every few years or something, we did get warnings. We got warnings from the animals, we got warnings from the insects that this was about to happen. We can keep our eyes open in the future. And maybe just build big tent structures over the crops to keep the snow
Right.
away.
I'd
Right
like to know where
now-
this biomass came from, though. I mean, was it ejected from
It's got to be a
somewhere?
plant or a tree or a plume
Picturing
of some sort.
mountain-sized puffball mushrooms,
Mm.
Yeah.
It
or
was
just
carried by air currents and
yeah.
And they all really like the sponges in the oceans of Earth all release their spores on the same day.
lots
It's
of plants
mating.
do that.
Triggered
Lots of plants do
triggered
that.
triggered by the moon phase or something.
Yeah, or length of day.
Well, if anybody's hungry, I can make some food. Are all pretty stressed right now.
My appetite has vanished here. It's
Should I-
going. It's gone somewhere else.
Well, I can make you some more tea.
That would be excellent, sweetie. Thank you.
I'm kind of curious. I want to investigate the source of this sound. I don't know if you guys heard something like a vibration, but I want to see if it's in our habitat. So definitely, I want a sandwich to be waiting for me when I return, but I want to take a sweep through the ventilation shafts or something to try to find the source of the sound.
Casbo, when you say ventilation shafts, you don't mean shafts, right? You mean remaining safely in the habitat and investigating the panels next to the respiratory systems. You're not.
Oh, yes, Papa, of course. I will never go into danger. Yes.
I'm going to find Boson and give her her monthly tuna packet. I think.
Yeah,
We
she's
all-
staying pretty nestled.
Yeah.
But she'll eat the tuna.
She
And
will always eat the tuna.
the priorities.
Yes, absolutely. Her
This is,
priorities are working.
and so Cosmo, as you start unscrewing that ventilation panel, you get one screw out, two screws out, three screws out, four screws out, and you lift off the panel. And now we will take our break.
5 minutes later.
Okay, so as Cosmo is unscrewing that ventilation panel, just want to cut quickly back to Chuck.
Yes.
You've been seeing all the humans around you in this kind of growing state of anxiety. How are you feeling?
At this point, I'm beginning to become a bit worried about my human companions. Um, there's a little bit of medical training that's programmed into my brain uh, about crisis situations where people have been confined into small spaces and desperate situations. And so I'm a little bit worried about the situation. Unfortunately, I don't have the programming to know what to do about it.
Okay. So where are you? What are you doing?
I would, I think, because I'm kind of curious about these snowflakes and would like to kind of do a little bit more experimentation with the snowflakes using like alcohols, acids, bases, just to kind of see what happens when they're exposed to different kinds of chemicals.
Okay. So yeah, you start running through this battery test. Cosmo, the panel pops off the wall. You set it to the side, and then you see the filter nestled in a couple of inches back. You can see it's covered in dust.
Okay. Any presence of the vibration of the sound?
Yeah, you can hear the sound. It sounds like a kind of a grindy sound. Gravelly almost.
Hmm. I want to get in the shaft to try to see, to approach the sound source to see if these flakes are trying to, the wind is gusting them into the filter.
So Cosmo starts crawling into the vent.
Do we notice?
Did anybody go with him when he was going to check the filters?
I thought we might have Chuck keep an eye on him, right? Isn't that normally
Well,
what
Chuck,
we do?
yeah, that's a
When
good. Meanwhile, Chuck is busy doing experiments on the snowflakes.
when I asked Cosmo what he intended to do, he gave me assurances, and that's why I did not assign Chuck to keep an eye on him. And I've gone back to the greenhouse because I'm pretty anxious.
And I'm looking out the window. And Mom's looking at her lab equipment. Goodbye, Cosmo.
So Cosmo,
By all
you-
of us.
yeah, you've crawled in, yeah, and the sound you're hearing is on the other side of that filter.
No, okay. Hmm. I'll take some notes. And of course, I'm not trying to, so it's just beside the filter. It's not coming from inside in any kind of way.
Oh, it's coming from inside the air filtration system.
Mhm,
That much
mhm.
is certain. You can't
Do I
see
s-
anything because you've reached the filter. right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is there like a terminal, like a maintenance terminal or something that just has sensors like the life of the spinning blades of the ventilation system? Is it healthy?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
mean,
damaged?
you already checked all that, and it all came back fine.
Okay, okay.
You're still hearing that noise.
Like stand in the machine.
Yeah, like it sounds gritty, like this.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. So I guess it's a safe assumption that particles bigger than dust are entering the filtration. Yeah, yeah. Fascinating. Yeah, I'm going to uh, exit, not hastily, because I don't think I'm in any kind of danger. I'm just
So
going
yeah, I
to
mean, the mystery of the noise remains.
the mystery of the
You
noise.
didn't look at it with your own eyes. You left the filter on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that dumb, but I'm going to. I'm, I'm
But
going
you
Why
know
you
to.
there's
seem
something there.
concerned? You seem
I'm not
concerned.
8 years old, Mom. I
I
know to
mean,
leave the
you
filter
heard
on.
yeah, this whole place is hermetically sealed, right? According to all the diagnostic manuals and specifications, like this place should be 100% airtight.
Yeah.
Strange sound though.
So what I imagine is that I'm exiting, taking a mental note, and I already told Dad that I will stay safe. So I want to go to see my big brother to tell him about this and to try to concoct a plan to investigate further. So I'm
Yeah.
going to find Ayod and be like, bro, listen, I just went into the ventilation shaft and you wouldn't believe it. There is a sound that comes just beyond the filter. And I'm wondering what could it be? Could it be the spores? But we were hermetically sealed, you know?
What sort of sound?
Like a vibration, like something grinding the gears of the ventilation system.
I mean, how would it get in? Uh, Come on. I'm gonna go to the somewhere there's got to be the blueprints and plans for the whole building. So we'll lay that out. Like, look,
Mm-hmm.
if something was going to get in like dust or dirt or spores, how could they possibly get in? And we'll look at any what we would consider like a weak point. Obviously, the insects have a chitinous shell, but the little needles are able to still get into the insect. What if there's a rubber seal or something in the system that they're able to, just by impacting them, break through the seal? So the O-ring,
So so you pull up the plans on the computer terminal.
right.
Um, unless you are comically unfolding this giant
I actually thought maybe might actually have a big uh, roll, of paper.
Our home.
But we'll say it's on the computer terminal.
I mean, it's up to you. I mean, I'm fine with you looking at a giant blue paper.
Okay, we're looking at a giant blue paper. We got our
All
pencils,
right.
and we're
You've
checking
got the giant roll of paper, you got your pencils, you get a magnifying glass out.
Yeah,
I'm sitting on a chair to be at the same level to be able to
you're
look.
standing on
You're
the chair. Yeah.
realizing an eod, what at first seemed like a very salient feature. Hab blocks are designed to be able to connect up with each other and
Right,
create larger structures.
with O-rings.
Those are all joints. And those joints have a certain plasticity to them, or they're supposed to be able to
right.
interlock
Expand and
together.
contract with
Mhm.
heat and cool. Ma, Dad, I think
What's
we
up?
might have a problem.
Oh no.
We're looking at the plans for the habitat. I think some of that grit might be getting through the seals between the habitat. Cosmo climbed into the ventilation shaft and he said that the filter sounded like there was a gritty noise. And that's actually one of the junction spots between Habitat A and Habitat B. I'm wondering if the gaskets have gotten penetrated.
All right. I think okay. Zeph, where do you think the safest? Or hey, Blueprint boys,
Hmm.
what's the most internal place that you can seal relatively? I'm going to put on a vac suit. I'm going to take a foam gun and seal everything I can before we get this snow in our veins. Does the kitchen has too many in and out lets?
Oh, you dissolve some of the spores in water.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't dissolve the
And
spores, it dissolved. Did they sink to the bottom?
I know
brownie in
that.
motion, DNA is gonna move around,
Well, I was wondering if
cook it.
we hook the ventilation shaft into a tub of water so that if anything
Yeah,
came through it, it
because
went into the water and then bubbled up. Would
because
that at least keep it from?
if we dissolve their little chitinous outer sort of thing and they can't just cut into stuff, they're
It's
just
it's
DNA
gonna make
material.
it's gonna make a slurry of poison, but it's not gonna become ambient in the
Yeah,
atmosphere.
yeah,
That's Eod.
yep.
Eod, you are your
Jury
mother's
rigging.
son.
Yeah, roll
Jury
jury rigging for me, please.
using a different set of dice. Where the hell are my pins? Oh, there they are. Uh, jury rigging. Oh wait, how do I do it?
It's intelligence plus whatever your percentage of jury rigging is.
And that's 15 for jury, isn't it? Is that like
Okay.
And
So that's that
Okay.
I've got 40 plus looks like 10 for jury rigging, so 50, and I rolled a 44.
Yes.
Oh, that
Oh,
is a
nice.
critical success.
Critical.
Yes.
Sweet.
So you
Quickly.
take some of the water tanks and you basically create like this P trap. So where the air has to
Right.
come down through water. So you start to weld these onto all of the ventilation shafts.
Yeah.
I've got a secondary experiment I want to try, Morgan. Knowing that the cat got scared well in advance, and she's not from this world, so she shouldn't have any of the native proclivities to be scared. And seeing what the boys have discovered, I'm wondering if there's some kind of infrasonic precursor signal of some kind. So I'm going to check all the different sort of, stuff that humans can't hear, but the audio levels of different sound waves. I'm looking for some kind of ultrasonic or infrasonic signature, but I'm thinking more likely infrasonic. Just to see if there's something that tipped the cat off, because there's some way
Yeah,
Kitty found out.
you check for sound.
Mhm.
And currently you don't get anything.
The cat's still nervous, though, isn't she? Or is she calm now?
Could it be the air pressure drop that set the cat off?
Yeah, but then any storm would, like, she's, I don't know. I suppose.
Well,
Maybe it
thinking
was the-
about it, if there was a sound, it might not be ongoing.
Right. I'm going to
Maybe
set up
the
a
Ziffel
program to
tubes.
monitor for that then, and let me know if there's some kind of pulse or modulation that happens outside of our range that
There's the
seems
Ziffel
significant.
toots.
Oh,
They made a tooting noise.
Gareth, darling, did you get any recordings of that?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna
They're-
subject to Fourier analysis and other breakdowns and look for like amplitudes and stuff that are below our hearing range that might correspond to what fits my theory at this point. I mean,
I'm
sorry.
not sure that when songbirds anticipate an earthquake, they're singing to each other is anything other than their own language. but do all the math you want.
Yeah. I'm just
Frankly, I can't do any botany right now. And there's nothing to fix except my sons, and maybe, they're going to be all right. But I'm just trying to figure out how to make the most complete internal space I can in hopes that it blows over.
we need a storm cellar, basically, is what we need.
Right. Sadly, we don't, yeah. And the habitat is not digging itself.
No.
Zeph, would you check all the life forms you've subjected to the material snow?
Mhm.
I think we need to also figure out if we can test for contamination.
Oh, I see. You mean to see if they exude some kind of byproduct after the exposure? Is that what I'm looking for? Because their physical reaction is obvious.
Yeah. I want to see if I was outside when it started snowing. I want to know if you can test to see if I'm infected.
All right, dude. Let me get some samples from
Because
you.
anybody who we think is infected has to go outside to the snow or inside of the furnace. Just
I
don't
think
mention this
that
to the kids.
no, dear, I won't.
Do you want to get 1d4 stress from me, Gareth?
Sure. Exciting, rarely rolled die. 2.
How's my chemical experiments going along?
Well, you learn a couple of things. As one might expect, like the alcohol dissolves the casing, and the biological the cells also seem to deteriorate. In the alcohol, um, you see that some of the kind of compounds that you've developed to kill the native life on this planet also seem to have an effect on it. So it's not invulnerable to a certain, like, really strong acids destroy it, really strong bases destroy it. But it seems to be able to live in a kind of a decent range of conditions, both in temperature and in environment.
What it would
Does,
encounter on this planet.
did I come up with did I do any kind of like experimentation that seemed to make it grow or uh, change it in any way, like some kind of modification or mutation?
So none of these, like exposing it to different chemicals. Um, you do, however, think of the bugs that you've infected. They're still in their jars, curled up.
Yeah, I'm not going to mess with those. Uh, that's not my experiment, so we'll just leave those alone.
So you haven't okay. When you expose it to organic compounds, you do see that the sharp outer shell definitely starts to attack those organic compounds. It seems to have some kind of like acidic reaction, I would say.
Okay.
Um,
And when it reacts to an organic compound, if I'm looking at it under a microscope, uh, do I notice any sort of cell division, like it's growing?
Once the shell is gone, um, it does start to divide.
Hmm. can I do any kind of like calculation to see what sort of the rate would be?
Oh, it seems to have, I don't know, like half-life sounds like radioactive decay, but essentially the time it takes to split, it seems to split once every minute or so.
Hmm.
Once it gets going.
Interesting.
Hmm.
I'll
So I'm going
relay
to.
that.
Oh,
Yeah, I'll relay the information of my tests to Zafia.
thank you, Chuck. That could be very useful. I'm going to go see Garth because he's so nervous and worried, and I want to reassure him. And I don't actually think he's got himself infected, but I'm going to go and take little samples. I'll get a little mustache clipping, a little bit of saliva.
Yeah, I think mustaches probably are before the thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
Dear, just go ahead and swab. I'm used to it.
All right, that tickles your. You're so
I-
ticklish back there.
I-
Sorry, dear. I'm being very
Look,
delicate. Oh,
I know,
this-
it's terrible.
okay.
It's all right, but it's the newest tissue.
I know. All right. I think you're probably fine, sweetie. You don't need to worry. Did you get some of your Applejack in you? That'll help you relax.
I might have had a taste.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's okay to have some right now, I think.
I'm
Don't
going to go and
fret.
try to contact the Floreses. I'll just keep trying through the static.
Yeah, actually, can we have an automatic thing that just checks whether we can get radio contact
Yeah, probably a
periodically?
program can just look for it.
Program that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Cosmo.
So the Floreses don't respond.
Yeah, the Flores are lost causes, friends. I'm sorry.
We just can't get a hold of them.
Do we have any signals at all yet, Eon?
Nothing. There's just so much static from all that stuff floating around in the air. Dad, it might be no worse than a cold or an pneumonia.
No worse than pneumonia is an interesting thing to say.
Well, I mean, it can be bad if it's not checked, but the thing is it shouldn't be a life form that can infect one of us because it might do damage, but it's not going to turn you into a great harg.
I mean, the fact is that some of the things on this planet don't taste good and aren't nutritive, but we can bite into them, and they're organic plant life. There's enough commonality for us to coexist. So who knows? But and they seem very flexible. They don't seem to care what insect they eat. Can we set up a timer so that every hour we switch out our rebreathers and have them sterilized?
Absolutely, yeah.
And I just want to. I think we need to be. I think
proactive.
family.
Yeah.
This thing is going to get rained on and wash away. We're still going to be mindful and be distilling our fluids.
Yeah, because the water's going to end up in the soil.
But it's probably a very short-term thing. Again, it's such a huge expenditure of biomass. It's probably once every 17 years.
And we'll know it's coming next time.
We'll learn about it and we'll seal up. But for the time being, I think we have to treat it as if it might be deadly.
I'll set up a wash tub for sterilizing the rebreathers every hour, a little workstation, so we can get that going.
What I'm also thinking is, if, of course, I got all your support, I might be able to. So if you give me the foam gun, I might be able to get into the ventilation shaft and reseal the used and consumed joints. If you think that would postpone and buy us time before this thing kind of destroys the ventilation system. the vibrations don't sound good mechanically wise.
But it sounded like the stuff's already gotten in. You'd be seriously exposed.
I mean, yeah, of course, respirator, vac suit, everything, all the deal, and then decontaminate me, like wash me in the suit, essentially. It's just a suggestion. I'm small enough to enter these nooks and crannies of the station.
In an evac suit, though? I don't know that you can fit in there with that, but we got it filtering under the water now.
Yeah, we got family size, and we have to deal with that water afterwards. I don't think that sounds insane. Zeph, do you think that sounds insane? Sending our youngest into the bowels of the habitat?
I think a part of me is absolutely frightened of the idea and thinks it's mad. But my rational mind is trying to process it better and say that maybe it's possible. Do you think the boy is up for it?
As far as I can tell, Cosmo is more unshakable than any of us.
Mm,
Not sure that's a good thing.
no, that could be lead to problems.
If you don't think it can get through the evac suit, then why don't we send Chuck out there in a suit outside to seal up the things from the outside? We can always wash him off when he gets back in.
Yeah, that seems a bit more rational than sending our youngest off to what might be something that does him in.
Like, which I don't think that it's a matter of sealing it from the outside. I think it's a matter of sealing it from the inside and cleaning it from the outside, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And sorry, question for the warden. Chuck is more close to alien type of android, so it has some tissues and some fluids that are close to organic compounds, or is he just mechanical?
Charlie is mostly mechanical at this state. Android development hasn't reached such a point at this juncture.
He's a little better than Asimov, but
and we are almost certainly sure that unless it's organic, this thing cannot go through softer metals like tin or anything. It cannot interact.
We don't actually know, do we? So
you say that, and then you hear the gravelly sounds of the air filters.
Yeah. It might eat through rubber. That might be one of the problems.
And rubber is organic. I mean, plastic's organic.
Yeah. Synthetic isn't necessarily, but it's carbon based, so
Morgan, can I get like and I hate to do it, can I get like a chick or something? Because we've got other animals that I do work with.
Yeah, you got chickens. Yeah.
Get a chick and infect it and see what happens to it.
not Lila.
Not Lila. I'm not. No. This is just
Okay.
It's just an animal.
Who was witnessing this experiment?
Nobody but I am.
I mean, we've seen her do things like this before.
Yeah, I
It's
know, but you don't need to watch this.
part of the process. Yeah,
I think the question isn't who's willing to see it, but who she can't hide it from.
Well, I can't hide it from you, Gareth, but I'd rather, and I think Charlie could handle it, but I'd rather no one else saw it, just in case.
Yeah, this is just me asking who is watching this happen, right?
I'm
Is
gonna
it everybody? Are some people not watching?
So Zeph, if you tell me you intend to do this, I'm going to send the lads off on a task.
Okay. I'm going to let you know because this is the way we coordinate.
Yeah. Boys, I want to see whether there's any change in any of the greenhouse plants yet. If you'll just go and take the camera around for 10 minutes.
We'll check the seals and everything.
And look to see, whether there's any drift inside. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're very good
Okay.
boys. Again, fresh rebreathers.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've got that going every hour.
Chuck is welcome to watch though, because he might be able to learn something from this. So what happens to this poor chick?
Okay.
Oh God, no! Chuck, don't put the chick in front of me. I'm gonna feel super guilt.
So you expose how many? Okay, how many spore flakes do you expose the chicken to?
Well, we start with one to see if one is enough to
Okay.
cause a problem.
You drop one of these on it, and you see it just lands on the very top of the chick's head.
Mhm.
And after a few moments, the chick starts going into spasms.
Wow, that's fast. Okay.
So you
And
can
then
all make fear saves, please, as you see this chicken start to like run around.
does Chuck
and
have to make a fear
contorting.
save?
Well, you guys
No, he's
make
an android.
fear saves at disadvantage
Disadvantage. You
because
have to
I'm
roll
in the
twice to take
room.
the word. Yeah, because Charles, by
Oh,
not reacting
right.
at all, is unsettling.
Okay, I see. Maybe I shouldn't have invited him in.
Do I make a fear? Do I make a fear save?
No, none of the boys do because they're not here.
Androids don't have fear.
Yeah,
Your fear save should be really high as an android, right?
it is. It's like it's 86.
Yeah, you don't need to roll.
Okay.
Shit, mine is not so high.
37.
Yeah, I have a shitty fear save. I fail, but it's not a fumble bad fail.
Yeah, I rolled an 07, which would be great in some games, and it's just okay here.
Okay. So, Zephia, for failing your fear save, can you get 1d6 stress for me, please?
Okay. Okay. Just one more stress, but it's a slow climb.
Okay.
About 4 now.
Yeah, but you are deeply disturbed by this.
Well, actually, it's probably a mixture of guilt too. I don't really like subjecting animals to these things. Is
And
it
eventually
now?
the chick stops moving.
Now, is it now paralyzed like the local life form, or has it gone into cardiac arrest and died? I mean,
You should be able to hear its heartbeat.
yeah.
Yeah, it's still alive.
So
Yeah.
it's
It's not
able.
moving.
So even though it's not from this disease, is not from this world or our world, it's still able to do a kind of paralysis effect.
Sweetheart, give it a sprinkle. Give it a
Okay,
good
sure.
salt shaker.
All right.
I'm gonna prepare the part of the sealed tank that purges it with fire.
Yeah, the incineration. Sure, we'll give it a sprinkle.
Okay, so you add more, and all of these seem to sink down into it.
Mhm. Anything further happen to it?
As you're watching it, you see some of the feathers start to poke up.
Mhm.
And after maybe 30 minutes, this tiny white little stalk stops to poke up through the feathers.
Oh dear. So it is a plant.
Okay. Yeah, that's gonna put spores off. Push the other big red button. Burn.
And the chick is incinerated.
Do you have any other samples, Zeph, that might be that
We
aren't
have-
yet?
Well, I have some local ones that I've been given small amounts to watch, but now we know where it goes. We might as well just destroy them.
I think until we can keep some of these until
I
after.
I just wonder if there's something that it doesn't like. That's what I'm hoping to find.
It doesn't like failing to evolve into a planetary monolith.
The little blue guys are the smart ones here. They just bury themselves down.
Yeah, I don't know how far they went, but they kept going.
That is something we could try, is like antivirals, antibiotics, things of that nature. It's hard to say if any of our medicines would affect it, but
Well, do I have enough to figure out how the paralytic action takes place? Is it working through a nerve agent? I mean, is it eating the nerves? What's it doing? it has skin contact. It gets through the outer skin barrier. Like, what's the propagation? How's it doing it?
Yeah, it seems as the little casing dissolves,
Hmm.
um, undergoes a chemical reaction with what it comes into contact with.
Yep.
It seems to make a wide variety of compounds, some of which you could identify as nerve agents,
Right.
some you would recognize as nerve agents.
Right. We could drink bleach. Yeah. And then after that, it starts, yeah, breeding itself.
Actually, ultraviolet light, doesn't that kill a lot of things like viruses and bacteria?
It's a sunny day today, isn't it? Before the snow hit.
I told you boys to continue the inspection. You are nowhere near the lab right now. You did not just smell burnt feathers in the air, and no
It's
one
contained.
did,
You can't smell
because
it.
they're ventilated separately.
It's Chuck making chicken soup.
Smells good. When do we get to have chicken for dinner?
It was a recipe of fried chicken that went poorly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going to.
sorry, we aren't there. We aren't there. We're
Actually, the warden said it was a half an hour, and I only sent you away for 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
we're juggling.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
So, Eon and Cosmo, we'll go over to you too. So this is simultaneous with the experiments that are going on the poor chick. Yeah, as you're making your way to the greenhouse, you look out the windows, and yeah, it looks like a full lizard at this
Is
point.
it covered? It's dark inside now because it's all covered over.
Yeah, it's covering the windows.
Shit. I hope that that blows off. In fact, what I'll probably do, I'm going to assume that the greenhouse is like industrial, high density plastic, maybe corrugated plastic or something. I'm going to take the broom, the big bar broom, and tap on the plastic to make the stuff slide off the greenhouse. See if we get any sunlight coming in.
Okay, so you're like striking the inside of the glass.
Just lightly to see if the vibrations make all the.
Yeah, you can. It doesn't seem to
sound.
be making progress.
Okay.
Like you're disturbing it, but there's a lot on there.
And it's all little sharp needles, and they're all interacting with one another. I hope we get some rain. Plants seem to be okay. Seals, we go around and look at all the seals between any evidence of any sprinkles getting in.
No, the greenhouse seems perfectly fine.
Okay, I think we're cool. Let's go back. Do you smell that? It smells like burning hair.
Yeah, I just told you they were doing some experiments. There's no way they sent us here just to check the greenhouse.
I don't, they're very protective of us, and this is a farm. Do you know how many animals die on a farm every week? And nobody cares that the animals are dying. Let's get back. I'll go ahead. I'll walk first, and then I'll make the comment that I can't remember what comment I made as I walk back into the room.
How about ultraviolet light? Yeah.
Ultraviolet light. Yeah, can't we use like high intensity, like the ultraviolet light flashlight or something, just to see if it kills it?
Since my son sprouted it, I will try it. Does that have any effect?
If you subject it to an intense amount of ultraviolet light, it does die.
But I mean, how intense does it have to be?
More than just ambient ultraviolet light in the
Right.
if you subject it to a very concentrated ultraviolet.
You probably have a few ultraviolet sterilizers in the lab.
Hmm.
I can try to use jerry rigging and modify them so that we can walk along, and if there
Like
is
make
any,
a projector and like sweep the
right,
greenhouse, see if that kills it.
yeah. We can
Okay.
even try and see if it cures the bugs, once they're paralyzed, keeps the stuff from growing.
Hmm. All right. Does
I'll
it
get to
seem to
work
have
on it.
sure.
It's time to do the rebreathers, though. Everybody give me your
Oh yeah, here
rebreather.
you go.
Yeah. And I'll give them I have replacements, so I give them replacements. I sterilize the second
Yeah,
set.
you're sterilizing the mask. In the background, you can see all of these insects crawling on the sides of the jars, scrambling up and falling back down. The aroma of burnt flesh and feathers lingers in the air. Um,
It was encased. That bird was encased.
Hmm. But should we have
Or
been able
it's
to smell
leaking.
that? Should
Is
we have
there
been able to
something
smell that?
leaking?
Is there something
Oh yeah, there
leaking?
wouldn't be any smell, would there? No.
Is there smell when there shouldn't be?
Only if you open up
yeah.
the case afterwards.
No, we're not doing that. We don't need to
Okay,
smell
then there
that.
is no smell of burnt
Well,
anything in the air.
that's relief.
It was a joke.
It was in our heads. We were just mentally smelling it. Yes.
But we can see the dead
The,
chicken
the, the
under.
desiccated husk of burnt
Yeah.
pride.
Mm.
It wasn't Eileen.
No, I know Eileen is precious, but she's not going to be.
But that's a
something.
particular way to cook something.
We don't make our dinners this way. No.
Although speaking of which, it's getting on toward evening. Maybe we should make sure that hatches are battened. Double check that we have for any communication, both on planet and externally, and then try to have a calm meal
Mhm.
and center ourselves as a family and
Mhm.
remember to be grateful for all the bounty that Gaia has given us. And again, we can pray for the Floreses, etc. And then we can start thinking about how to make our way to one of the shorelines if that
Oh,
becomes a necessity. If this
yes.
lingers for more than, I would say, I don't know, you're the scientist, but I would say 10 days or 14
You want to
local days.
repurpose something and travel.
We can try to make a sealed
Right.
vehicle.
How far
and
away from the shoreline, Morgan? Like how many kilometers we're
It's
talking?
not easy.
No.
50 miles. Yeah.
Oh, much more than that. Much more than that.
300 miles. Yeah.
And there are not roads. And
No.
What
it's
if
a heavily jungled planet. It's going to be a slog.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering if we can retune the external spotlights on the building to ultraviolet.
That's theoretically plausible.
Not unless you get out there and actually change them.
Yeah, that's not how that's,
Oh, because the bulbs
Oh,
are
I'm-
right.
yeah.
Well, but see, I'm kind of thinking we today think about bulbs, but there's LEDs and this is
Yeah, I
in
mean the
future,
bulbs in my
so
house I can change the color of if I want to.
Yeah, but I don't think that they're going to be powerful enough to.
Probably.
Yeah,
not.
not enough strength.
No.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, powerful enough to grow plants, but
Damn it. Well, guess it's going to be a long slodge before we know what we can do next. Just make sure everything is clean.
We don't have any kind of rover or anything of transport.
We
parked
do.
in the garage. Oh, we do. Awesome.
But it's
It's in, yeah.
exposed. It's in the outside atmosphere.
Oh, okay.
we'd have to rig something up.
Umbrellas. We could go outside with umbrellas.
So the asparagus isn't really ready yet.
The spinach is ready, according to Chuck. We could have some of that.
We've got
Yeah,
vegetables. We've got
we have-
dried food.
We had
Tons of it.
spinach. I just feel like,
Lasagna.
something. I mean, Boson was happy to get a little tuna. I didn't.
Mm.
It didn't exactly make her tail go up, but she relaxed a little bit. If we could have something nice, maybe just a regular meal, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I
Keep
could
our
actually
spirits
bake
up.
if you'd like.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I can make a chocolate cake. I know how to do that.
See,
All right.
make
Yeah,
that.
I'll actually bake something. That's fine.
Chocolate makes everything better.
Yes. Okay. We got supplies for that.
I'm just gonna check on the greenhouse again. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. I'm making a chocolate cake.
Do you want me to go with you, Paul? All right.
Chuck, have you made a chocolate cake before? Do you want to watch how I do it? Every-
I have a program.
Every family does things like cakes and pies differently. There's different traditions. So if you stay as a droid that works with families, you should learn how everybody does it. It's all going to be very different. It's
I would be
little inflections of how the timing and what goes into it and what goes first. Very important. There's a signature to it. So you'll learn our signature.
I'd be most appreciative. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
I'll sit with Cosmo and play cards. He always beats me because he's better
He
at poker
cheats.
than I am.
And I know he cheats, but I can't say anything.
He counts cards.
He counts cards, exactly. It's cheating.
Yeah, after playing so much whist, poker is nothing.
So the five of you get together, you have your meal. And according to the clocks, it's getting on towards nightfall. But again, you can't see out of any of the windows. All the cameras are covered with spores.
Uh-huh.
Sing a little
You have-
song, do a little dance, try to keep each other, tell ghost stories. Something to keep our spirits up.
I think the chocolate cake was for group spirit.
Mhm.
Now we move on to shifts where we keep watch. Chuck,
Got a
what are your
robot.
requirements?
I can operate for a extended period of time before I need a recharge. So if you would require, I could keep watch during the night.
Thank you. Warden, how are the solar panels doing and what percentage of our electricity do they supply?
At the moment, the solar panels provide all of your electricity normally. You have batteries that store power, but they have basically been covered for a whole day. So your battery is running at this point very low.
Yeah.
You don't have a lot of power banked up.
Not a lot. And presumably Charlie requires a bit, being rather complex. So we don't want to overtax him. I feel like I should do a shift with Charlie on when he's at 50%. And so should Zeffy. And we can, Cosmo obviously needs a full night's sleep. Eod's probably going to he might not even be able to go to sleep. But
Well, Mom should probably go to sleep. I'll stay up.
Well, I got a little bit too much tea and coffee in me right now. I think I might want to keep working.
Well, yeah, Cosmo, work out the ideal pattern for maximal recovery for each of us so that we can be mindful. I'm afraid that one of those spores is going to get into an artichoke and then crawl across the complex. Or Nothing. Until this blows away, I'm going to be vigilant, and we should all be vigilant.
Yeah.
Right? That's the tone. We
Tomorrow,
need to
dear,
be vigilant.
when it's daylight hours, we might want to go out and clean off the solar panels, or somebody might. I mean, it can't storm forever.
I also wanted to suggest, and Ayod can help me. I can repurpose. I have a bike that I used to ride around.
Oh, yes.
I can repurpose it, and I can pedal and try to provide some attenuate the consumption of electrical power. It's not going to do miracles, but with the dynamo, we can definitely try to prolong the life of the energy reserves.
I could definitely rig up some sort of dynamo for power generation.
If there was any family and friend who was prepared to face a crisis like this, it's the five of us. And I'm very grateful that we're here. So Cosmo set up the overnight watch plan. And Zeph, do you think we should incinerate anything that's alive right now just to make sure that it doesn't get ahead of us?
You're
overnight?
right. If we can't be observing it, it might get ahead of us. Okay.
Yeah.
We're farmers.
She quietly
We-
apologizes to each one as she hits the incinerate button.
We are pioneers.
So what are you incinerating specifically?
The ones that I've infected.
The insects that you've infected, okay.
Yeah.
Any life forms that we know are infected.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you go, Zeph, you see that a few of the ones that you infected are now scurrying around the container.
Mhm. Oh, they're active. So they're paralyzed.
Paralysis is not worn off.
Well, maybe they fought it off.
Or they're infected. And
Now, hold on, but they might have, some of the animal life has to have a way around this problem and might actually be able to fight against it.
natural immunities.
Yes, the ones that are scurrying, do they appear to have any of the externalities of this thing? Is there anything trying to sprout out of them, or do they look kind of like the way they looked before?
Yeah, when you look at them, these look a little fuzzier than they did.
Oh, they're covered with soft spores or something. Okay. What are they trying to do? They're just trying to run around, trying to.
It seems they're very erratic. They're not. They're not. They don't have any. They don't. They seem to not have any purpose.
Right.
They're not.
They're just acting chaotic.
That might be so that they run around and infect other bugs
Yeah.
in the wild. I'm going to take Cosmo's bike and a couple of other pieces of equipment and make a bicycle and a treadmill that run a dynamo that generates power and goes into a battery. And
Morgan, I'm going to introduce two bugs into the same space together.
Okay. The ones that are infected together?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't seem to react to each other.
They just kind of run around ignoring each other.
Yeah.
put one that's infected with one that's not. And see
Yes, that was my next thing.
Yeah.
This is why I don't sleep. Okay, here we go.
So the one insect that's not infected does something a little peculiar. It's not the one that's infected that goes to the healthy one. It's the healthy one that goes to the infected one. And it scoops it up and kind of holds it above itself and stops moving.
It's healthy, and it takes the infected one and it holds it above itself.
Yes.
I hit the communicator, but Gareth, come here immediately.
Jeff, I said, what did I say about amphetamines?
No, Gareth, seriously, dear, come here immediately.
On my way. Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Sorry, did you go to get into your jammies?
Yeah, let's get my jammies.
Okay,
We had, I mean, to be fair,
I
we
know,
didn't
I
have
know.
the
I
whole
was going
schedule
to
yet.
incinerate them all, but I just had a couple more things to. Here,
Sure.
see the little fellow there? Okay, so the
Uh-huh.
guy he's holding, that's an infected one, and they're moving again, as you can see over here. And that little guy, he's healthy, and he's not infected. He grabbed that guy, he's holding him up. Like they've learned to do this, Gareth. This is a defense reaction. What have they figured out? What did they know on their little insecty brains, their little hardwired brains? They've got something figured out.
Well, I mean, how long's it been?
Well, it's been hours. It's been hours long enough that his little insecty brain knows that some of his brethren are infected.
No, I mean, if he just holds him up, okay, introduce another uninfected one of the same kind.
Okay. Does he just hang out with the other guy and hide underneath the one that's being held up?
So again, it's a little peculiar. The other healthy one starts to wedge itself beneath the healthy one that's holding up the infected one.
They're all
They're
trying to
trying to
get
like
deeper. They're all trying to get.
They're elevating the disease. Maybe there is no such thing as health in this ecosystem. I mean, as we understand it. Maybe they want to propagate, maybe the dominant genome that we hadn't noticed because it's dormant in demands of everything else that it be elevated, and that's how it.
Okay, you might be right. Okay, I'm going to prepare a little space for it, and the space is going to have some dirt it can burrow into, but it's going to have an elevated position that it could go up onto if it wanted to.
Huh.
And we'll give it options. Does it want to dig or does it want to go up to the higher ground?
Uh-huh.
And we'll introduce them in there and see what they do.
Okay, so you introduce just a group of healthy ones?
Yeah, and then we'll introduce an infected guy and see what they do with them.
Okay. So the healthy ones, they don't, you see that they, with your little outcrop,
Mhm.
does it provide a place where they can get underneath it? Or no?
We know they tend to do that. They'll try to go underneath stuff.
Yeah, also just in your whatever you have prepared, it's probably mostly like sand or
Yeah.
so it's probably
So they find
easier
a,
just to make
yeah,
a sine wave.
they'll go as low as they can in the sand and they form a little ball. Like you see them crawling, but they've formed a little sphere
Mhm.
of their bodies.
Independent of the one that's been infected? Is that before the
So,
infected one is introduced or after?
so after. So
Do any-
before they mill about, and once it's introduced, they all go into a ball. And when the infected one makes its way close to it, one of the healthy ones grabs a hold of it and lifts it up and goes rigid.
He's taking it for the team, I think.
I think it's more like worship.
Insects can't worship.
These aren't insects. I mean, not in our phylogeny.
Who would they worship? That doesn't make any sense.
They grovel beneath it and they raise it as high as they can.
No, there must be a defense reaction of some kind. It's not
Well, the thing
it's
is,
not propriety it.
we have to wait and see whether they put it down and feed themselves or whether they trade or something. You know, then there's a cuckoo bird sort of thing, right? Maybe
Here, I'm going to
they
have to stay up
this.
and watch this. We can't just incinerate it. We have to find out what's happening.
Zeph, you can watch the tapes tomorrow. You cannot have amphetamines every day. Eventually you crash.
Somebody's got to keep a half an eye on it. Can Chuck keep half an eye on it at least, just so something terrible doesn't happen?
I'm sure that that Cosmo has the chart prepared for us for the Who's staying awake?
It's almost more stressful to sleep than it is to stay awake, but all right.
We have to eventually, is the tragic part. I agree with you.
So
would
all
like
of you who are trying to sleep can roll fear saves.
Oh no, I'm going to fail. Yes, I
Everyone.
do.
Well, for a moment, I thought that I had a 99, but I have a 96.
Normal failure.
What?
Did you make it? Did you sleep?
Well, I'm trying to remember. Is 100 bad in this or good?
00 is good because it's considered super low.
Is 100 bad or good?
Like the 100 actually is under 1. It's like the best.
So you rolled an 01?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember because it's they
yeah. But 00 is also good because it's the lowest number.
Yeah, 99 is the worst possible roll. 0 is the best. And you don't win on the exact number, right? So you're rolling against a 37, you need a 36 or lower.
Right.
So
okay,
if
I'm not afraid despite all appearances.
Okay. So Garth sleeps. Everybody else who failed, you don't seem to be able to fall asleep. So you can all get 1d4 stress.
Yeah.
I didn't.
3.
Oh,
I didn't try to sleep.
You're fine.
Yeah, I got a 2 on my fear save.
And so you passed.
Yeah.
So you also sleep. Yeah.
I keep thinking about how to improve my design for the dynamo to make it more efficient.
Yeah, and it takes you, when you wake up, Garth, it feels strangely dark. And it just takes a few moments to recognize that the lights are off and the windows are completely covered.
Oh. All right. Windows are not a surprise. The first question is where the last watch should be. That should be Charlie, and who would be up at that hour? Whose duty is it?
Well, you look around and you see Zeph, I assume when you couldn't sleep, you went back to the lab.
absolutely. I mean, I might as well be up. Okay, stuff.
Yeah, where did you spend the night? You couldn't sleep.
I tried to sleep like normally, but I tossed and turned all night, and I kept getting up and checking things, and so I've had no restful. I've probably worked my way back into the room where I was building the dynamo, because our batteries are pretty much dead. I'll probably just now be climbing up onto the machine and starting to pedal to spin the rotors to generate some electricity.
So we have, I'm guessing, some sort of red emergency low light situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And there's a glimmer from the lab where Zeph's cranked up again. And
I didn't take any artificial stimulants, dear. I just can't sleep.
Sorry to accuse you. And is Chuck like, where are you, Chuck?
I figured that I was in the lab, or I could have actually been on the bicycle.
Well, I imagine that the lab is one of the places where there are monitors to the cameras.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. And if Eod hasn't finished the bicycle, I'm going to point out to him, sweetheart, light of my life, the second law of thermodynamics. You can't eat enough food to bicycle enough energy to grow enough food Just that's what's his name's demon? That's perpetual energy.
Maxwell.
Maxwell, thank you. It doesn't, you're not ever going to win trying to heat yourself into not freezing by making something out of nothing. So
Says him.
says math. I mean,
But we're farmers.
we're
We can
farmers in
overcome
space.
anything.
No, you're right. Labor is what's most important. And that's why we're going to get out there and clear the solar panels. And by we, I mean droid.
Well,
But we,
yeah, that's why I built a bicycle and a treadmill. Build. I agree. He's got to go out, but he's also got to recharge. Let's get
Morgan,
them all recharged.
Yes.
these little worshiping guys with their little elevated dudes,
Mhm.
has that changed at all?
Well, question, have you added more infection into it?
Well, I'm going to try adding another snowflake or two to see if it's drawn to the infected dude. I'm curious.
All the ones that the snowflakes hit are elevated in a similar fashion.
Okay, and if there's more than one infected dude, it's just more guys.
There's more
elevated
guys holding them up.
and the rest curl up into balls.
Correct.
Maybe they're holding them up so that when they pop, they spread on the wind.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that's not going to help us.
But it's weird that the not infected ones do it.
Now the thing is, they're not getting infected; they're just holding them up,
They're
right?
holding them up, yep.
So how are they being controlled?
well, and the elevators seem to weaken or hunger or fall asleep.
They don't take turns, right?
They don't take turns.
But they might have energy reserves. They might
Or they
have this,
lock-
yeah,
Lock
exactly.
their little appendages so that they're
Yeah, they could they could run on very small reserves for a long time.
Well,
I
sorry, yeah, this has to preserve them somehow. This can't be a wasted effort, or it wouldn't have developed as a behavior.
oh oh, it's a grotesque apotheosis in miniature.
Hmm.
Let's figure out a system. What's the precipitation look like now?
You can't see because all the windows are covered.
We need to send out poor Chuck to clean the windows.
So,
Oh,
fresh
Chuck.
back suit for Charlie.
Okay.
Window facing the prevailing breeze of yesterday is first priority. Second priority, I'll vac suit up and go out too. I'm gonna double seal though. I'm gonna double suit. I'm gonna put in a medium and a large.
You look like a sumo wrestler, dear. That's crazy.
I look very fluffy, but it's not safe, I think, for anybody to be isolated at this point. Because we're under biological siege, as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to go out, we're going to clear a window. I'm going to hold a ladder for Charlie while he cleans off at least a minimum number of solar banks. We'll get a sense of whether there's more drift coming or whether the skies are clearing. And we'll report over radio inside after the first half an hour.
You said that alcohol destroys them. I can rig up a mister so that when you come back inside, it sprays you down with an alcohol mist to destroy anything that's on you, and maybe a UV light that blasts you.
I mean, as long as we're as long as the material from the decontamination chamber is being properly processed, which is probably going into a powerful UV, like super localized thing. It doesn't help to have some spray bottles.
Is the
It's
downpour still occurring? So we know that we are sealed off and they are fixated to the windows, on the panel, on the solar panels. Is the downpour still going? Do we hear still impact outside?
We don't, it's so soft, like
Yeah,
snow.
that's true. So we can't really tell. I want to go to the radio room to see if the telecommunications are working again.
You have no power.
Right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Get on the bicycle.
I will get on the bicycle and I will tell Yod to try to get some contact, and I'm going to put some real oomph in it.
So I don't know if you've ever done one of those exercise bikes where it tells you how many watts of power you're generating.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's
Yeah.
so
And I'll get
you
on the
can
treadmill
pedal
too,
away.
then.
Yeah, so the two of you are running your hearts out. Probably generating enough power to turn on a light bulb.
We'll do it
Uh,
for half an hour and build up a charge
Build up a charge just for one call, one ping.
to see if we
Just
can.
yeah.
Dad'll know soon if everything outside is, if it's still snowing or
Okay.
if we're under 5 feet of spores or
Charlie and
Yeah.
Gareth, the two of you are going outside.
Yes.
You open up the outer door of the airlock, and this wave of these spores washes in. You look out, and it looks like the sky is a clear blue, but the whole landscape looks like it's covered in snow. It's maybe about a foot deep.
The good news, family, Charlie, is that this is so complete that it has to be short-lived. There's no way that this phenomenon can stick around for 100 years or through a rainfall, because it is actually kind of blinding out here, and I didn't think about that. We're going to attend to
yeah,
the
go
window
quick,
so you can
be
have
safe.
a look
All right.
first, and then we're going to go to the roof.
Yeah, I'll step outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get outside and you clear the windows off.
I'll even brush some of or as much of the stuff out of the airlock as I can, and kind of make a path out away from the airlock to, yeah.
That's a big broom. So
And yeah, all your crops, all your trees, all of it is just
buried.
covered.
If we can't clear this in a few days, everything's going to wither, but I don't think that's the first concern right now. Let's do the solar panels on the southern side first, and then we'll see if we can clear out the communications array.
Okay.
The sky is open. We might be able to check in.
The static should be gone.
Okay. So simple enough. You clean off the windows. You clean off the solar panels. It takes several hours before the solar panels build up enough charge to start powering on systems back on. Everybody seems to be in radio communication, except for the Flores family.
And how far are they away?
They're close to you. They're maybe 300 miles out.
Mm-hmm.
How quickly could we get there?
What can we do?
Zephyr, can we isolate a channel?
Sure. There's a dedicated between me and you.
Yeah, we're not going to help the Flores family. We're going to defend ourselves against the Flores family because they are infected. Don't want to scare the kids, but I'm scared.
They're going to grow fuzzy and try to walk 300 miles to get to us.
They're going to elevate the infected. I don't know what that means. Do you know what the fuck it means to elevate the infected in its sentient species?
I don't know. That would be our natural reaction. We're not, we haven't been, this is not
No,
evolved to us.
no, you're right. We'll keep trying to reach them. As soon as we hear from one of the Flores family that daddy died or got better, hunky dory.
Okay.
How
We need to
fast
find out
can
what
they?
the other families have gone through since they've also probably experienced something similar.
That's fair. Right.
I want to talk to all the other families that have likely gone through the snow just to see what they've figured out or what they're
You
doing.
get on the grapevine. I'm
Okay.
gonna keep trying to not to inhale anything or have it touch
Yeah.
me.
All right.
See you, sweetie.
Okay.
So as you get in contact with the other families,
Mhm.
still nobody's heard from the Flores,
Mhm.
but about 8 or so people have died.
And was it just their lungs filled up or what happened?
Um, most families don't know. They realized what was going on. They zipped up their family members into body bags and threw them outside.
That's what you have to do. Yeah.
So their bodies are currently under the snow cover.
How about the people near the coast? Did they ever get the bloom?
No,
Maybe the prevailing winds off of the ocean were going
Oh,
away from the water, and so
what?
kept blowing it
Hold
back.
on a second. The ones that they zipped up in body bags, were they confirmed dead?
They were
no.
confirmed infected.
Okay, I'm going to explain to everybody that this thing, at least on the native organisms, causes paralysis and then alterations to the body. Those family member, and they become mobile again. Those family members are not necessarily dead, and they might develop a fuzzy covering and they might start to be active again. Okay? They are going to have to be ready to possibly deal with that. Now, maybe that's not what happens with Earth organisms, but that's what happens with the native organisms. Okay? You cannot now ignore the fact that you've just thrown these people outside. You should confirm they're dead or their status. Can you do that for me?
Yes, they agree. Um, so, will each of you roll 1d6 for me, please?
4. No.
4.
3. Cosmo?
What'd you get, Cosmo?
Let me roll. 3.
It takes 15 days before the rain comes. Eod, how did you spend those 15 days?
We never got any more snow after that.
No.
I think that I had at least partially, maybe with like an alcohol sprayer, I had tried to clear, at least 10 feet all the way around the outside of the habitat so that we could easily go outside and clean the solar panels and stuff like that off. I probably sprayed the top of the greenhouse as well to clean off all the stuff, the spores, using every precaution.
Zeph, how do you spend the 15 days?
Oh my goodness. Well, first off, if Chuck is able to help me, I want to find out if any of the native insects outside of my little lab have survived and if they're doing their little religious practices, as Gareth calls it.
Yeah,
Is
so
that
you find one of the colonies that were hiding under the leaf of the plants.
Mhm.
Um, and there seems to be a whole outer shell of infected bodies.
But somewhere down beneath
When
there's a
you
bunch
start
that
tweezing them apart, you see live ones inside the ball.
okay, they've learned to do that. Do the little blue guys have they popped up again at all? Do we have
No,
any? No, maybe
there's
they're ready for the rain, maybe.
So the insects kind of formed a ball of infected ones around them to keep them safe in the middle,
yes.
Because they wouldn't reinfect the
Okay.
infected. Yeah, that makes sense. That's
like bees do to keep warm.
yeah, yeah. Nature is very clever. Did any of the other people check on the bodies of their loved ones?
Yeah, so over the course of 15 days, the humans don't get back up.
Has anybody figured out what it does? Do these spores infect them and then they start to grow little mushrooms or
Yeah, we've got this example of the ball outside. Is it starting to develop some kind of secondary
maybe
characteristics?
you're getting to that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What
Cosmo.
they what the what people have found is that there is substantial growths inside of the body
Right.
with little things like the insectoids. It doesn't take very long for them to protrude. Something as tiny as the little chick. It doesn't take long
Mhm.
to leave that body. But the humans,
It took a while.
there's
So the insects just developed a different reaction to it, I guess. Okay.
Chuck, how do you spend the 15 days?
Um, Mostly just taking care of the family, cooking food. About once every 5 days, I'll make a chocolate cake that Sophia
Oh,
showed me to make. Because I'm
okay.
thinking it helped once, maybe it'll help again.
So Chuck, now you want to make it personal at some point. You want to figure out your own touches. It's got to be a Chuck chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake.
Chuck chocolate cake.
Chocolate. I will do
Chocolate
my
cake.
best. And but yeah, it's kind of what I do is just more domestic duties, disinfecting everything pretty much, and helping out the others with whatever tasks they want to do.
Okay. Cosmo, how do you spend the 15 days?
I will enter with a bottle of alcohol and disinfectant the ventilation shaft and finally try to get that filter off and cleaned.
Okay, yeah. So you do find that that there has been spores that got into the air filtration that have been scratching the metal up.
Mhm.
You go about disinfecting that.
Yeah. Gonna clean uh, everything and make sure any kind of damage other than mechanical, no, essentially. Probably. Like just probably melt and if we get a reclamation plant or something, like recycle the old parts.
Gareth, how do you spend the 15 days?
Uh, I prepared as carefully as I could. It's hard to keep secrets in a small community, but I gathered materials and left a note that would be only visible digitally after I departed. I headed out toward the Flores ranch with minimal materials and some foodstuffs to see what has happened there and whether it needs to be ended by the outside world, because my family lives on the frontier.
Okay. So Gareth, your shuttle lands. These spores are whipped around and fly into the air by the thrusters. Their crop, like yours, is entirely coated with the spores, and everything is quiet and still. You see their habitation block sitting there silently, a heap of undisturbed spores piled up around it. Everything is deathly silent.
Yeah. The 9 levels of preparation. I possibly elevate again and hover around and blow stuff away just to clear a relative landing space, and then suit up and take the laser machete and my vac suit and visit the farmhouse.
Okay.
I smelled pie.
There's no response. Your laser cutter does a good job of getting through the door. You find spores inside. And as you cut through the airlock, you find the Floreses huddled together on the floor, holding each other's hands. You see a little bit, their eyes look a little fuzzy.
The Floreses are lying together on the floor holding hands as if they were alive human beings.
They're motionless.
Are their eyes tracking me? Are they moist looking?
Their eyes do seem to be following you.
I I'm at a loss. Um, uh, Stephanie, Alexander, are you okay? We came to help.
You hear this kind of cracked wheeze come from one of the figures.
The correct reason, and it's done.
Yeah, it's a cracked wheeze, and that's all they say. That's it.
This is when I back out toward the door I opened violently, looking around for the other relatives. Can I get back to the shuttle?
Nothing stopped you from getting back to the shuttle.
Jesus Christ. Okay. I'm gonna go back to the shuttle and I'm gonna, shake off, and I'm gonna point toward the coast, because maybe if I can get near enough to the Gulf, I can shake this thing.
Okay, so you take the shuttle to the coast.
Yeah. Near the coast, not to the coastal population center. Oh,
Okay,
I'm
so
so
you
angry.
spend a few hours and you fly to
So
an isolated point on the
at,
coast.
at some point, do I notice his absence?
Yeah,
Because I mean,
Gareth has been
as
gone at this point for several hours
yeah,
now.
I get overly focused. But at some point, we do keep in touch. At some point, I'm going to go, "Where's Gareth? Did he leave me a note, or is he just not around?"
Did we not know that he was going to the
Well,
Flores?
the yeah. Did he tell us? I mean, he just took off in the shuttle.
I didn't make an announcement.
No,
It
okay.
was a
So
it was a
somebody must have
brave
noticed the
thing.
shuttle was gone at some
Yeah,
point.
Dad flew off in the shuttle. I don't know where he was going, but
He didn't tell me he was going anywhere.
get him on the radio.
Well, of course, dear. I'm going to do that right now. Gareth,
Hey, babe.
what are you doing, Gareth, sweetie? You didn't tell me you were going to leave. We're still kind of in a crisis situation. You'd normally tell me if you're going to take off for some reason.
Um, I wanted to make sure that I was right about the Flores situation, and
Oh goodness, what's going on with them? Did you check?
yeah, I think it's a. What was that city in Germany they firebombed so thoroughly? I
Oh,
think it's one
Dresden,
of
dear.
those. I
Dresden.
think it's a Dresden plan.
What
Um,
they're coated in the fungus, like they died with it over there.
everything there is still blooming, and they're not themselves.
Oh, wait a minute. Are they doing what the insects did?
It was it seemed parallel, but I didn't
Well,
see the elevation.
sweetie, how many members of the Flores family are there?
I believe five,
I
How many did you see?
five.
Did you see all
There,
five?
yeah, coupled.
Okay.
They were circled up. You know, the Alexander, the first infected, uh, they've made a new organism together, I think. Or there's it's
Well,
like a fairy ring. They're
that's
sharing the same
they should be protecting somebody. That's what the insects are doing. Was there nobody underneath them?
underneath or above. I didn't dig.
You saw all five of them infected though.
I saw a ring of them, yeah.
Morgan, did they have a child or anything?
all their children are in the ring.
Oh, they're trying to run the
Parents, the
ring.
children.
Okay, all right. What are you doing right now? Okay, so I don't know there's anything we can do for them. Why don't you come back?
I'm on the way to the coast to see if it's different there.
Okay, all right. Keep in touch. Don't hide anything from us. We can't survive without you. And I know we could literally, yes, survive because we're not stupid and we're capable, but you know what I mean, right?
Least necessary member of the family, but
Yeah,
I'll be
no.
careful.
Oh,
Also, you could use the shuttle. I'll try not to screw it up.
Okay, so you fly your way to the coast and you feel the cold breeze. The trees are a lot taller here, the underbrush more developed. You can taste the salt in the air. There are no spores here.
All right. If I mean, tasting is a terrible way to determine whether there's a microscopic infection, but determining with some fly arounds and some radio communication, possibly that all is well, I will land if that's possible.
Yeah, so I was saying that with the assumption that you did already land at the coast.
Right.
Everything from the air seemed okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, oh, right. Now I've got to decide whether to tell the authorities that my family is infected with a horrible mutation. Oh, they're fine. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna uh, get involved with the local or the local radio community, authorities and friends. Hey, I'm visiting from Massive Rock, the settlement, at 38 and 42 degrees, etc. We got through the weird storm, but not everyone did. Do you have any news?
Well, the news that comes back, again, now that the fate of the Flores is known, um, it's about maybe 1 out of every 10 people on the planet perished.
Decimated.
Yep.
Well, we're ready for retrofitting or evacuation, whatever the company sees fit.
They're not going to send us back. We know that. The sunk cost fallacy.
When the
Morgan,
rain,
I'm going to
oh,
set up a little camera for the little blue guys went under the ground because I want to see if they pop up again. It's really important. I want to see if they come up.
so after the 15 days, the rain comes. The spores are washed away, dissolved. All of the crops, all the trees are all a little fuzzy. The insect colonies cast off the dead and disperse. It takes a few days before the Ziffel toots unburrow from the ground, calling to each other as they go their separate ways.
Tikalili, tikalili.
And the Ziffel family looks at their year of work that has been completely and utterly destroyed.
Hmm.
And that is where we will end our story.
I'd call it a success. I think we lived.
I got maybe I misinterpreted something that Gareth said. Are we infected?
I think he was worried that we were, but
Oh,
okay. Sorry, since we're done, Dave, did you see that we were infected and we didn't notice somehow?
I
Or is it-
just, I was rather concerned that there was no way that we had not been so thoroughly inundated without getting, because the infection, the material required was so small.
Mhm.
I feared that once one of us had got inside, that it would be universal. But
But the reaction is so complete, like we would have been paralyzed or something. I mean, it would have been obvious.
well, it might have taken, as was said, it might have taken weeks for a large organism like us to be visibly changed. And in fact, it's still. I thought that when I got to the coastal port, I would be incinerated as a probable vector.
You know what?
infection.
It's a good thing that small colonies like this don't think in a very like technocratic, autocratic fashion like that. Because yes, you're correct, Dave. But
probably the
I'm-
budget cuts from Gaia.
yeah, the budget cuts are to our
we didn't
advantage.
have enough containment procedures. Like this is experimental.
We don't have a standing army to do that kind of stuff to people. No one else has
Of
the.
course,
fortitude
Guy
to
has
do it.
already invested a considerable amount of money. So they're not
Yeah.
just going to drop us. They're going to come back and do something, at least to recover any losses. So Morgan, tell us what.
Mhm.
We speculate wildly.
So the planet was surveyed. They identified a good amount of plant life and, flora and fauna. What they didn't know is that harboring inside of the trees are these fungal spores
Mhm.
that sprout every 20 odd years or so.
Ah,
Um, and there's massive fungal blooms. So all the life that's on the planet has come to some kind of adaptation to survive the fungal spread. So we're some members of anything on the planet that didn't have a defense mechanism against it perished, evolutionarily
yeah.
speaking. So all the surviving organisms had some method for surviving them. And so when the humans arrived and decided to start terraforming, they were not aware of the lurking fungal bloom. Um, and that is basically what happened. So now with the rains, that the fungal materials wash into the soil and will be absorbed by the tree roots and will spread again
Right.
when the time is right.
And it'll get into the earth's trees and stuff too. So what the hell do we do?
Maybe.
We
Maybe.
relax when the snow goes away, and we stop wearing our booties all the time, and we traipse in some of that little filial spore from the trees outside, the potatoes on the inside. And Tuesday after, we're like,
Or 20 years from now, something terrible happens. But
yeah, your
Maybe it
Oh.
doesn't, or maybe it doesn't remain viable for very long. I was thinking Gaia could set up a series of satellites around the planet that when the bloom occurs, they could bathe it in UV light.
giant space mirrors.
And maybe after a couple of 100 years, they will have eradicated the fungus.
Oh, but do they think that long term? They may just give up on
sure,
the place.
sure.
Think so?
Terraforming a planet, they think in hundreds of years.
Well, you can't put that much UV light on things that they would be growing either. And the people who have to go outside. That's the most radiation humans ever see is from
Or you know what?
outside.
It just turns into people living on the coast and doing agriculture based on working in the
Possible.
ocean. Yeah, whatever they call aquaculture, whatever they call it. We just have to give up on the interior.
Finding something
Oh.
that kills it and spraying it all over the
How
planet.
does it have trouble with salt water? Maybe it doesn't like the seawater. I don't know.
I don't know.
There might-
I thought it was
yeah.
because the wind was blowing off the water and blowing
Yeah,
it
but it
all.
could be the
yeah,
salty spray
that
too. Oh,
direction.
it's just the wind? Okay.
And right now we only have the soil in the greenhouse, which is not contaminated. Only that can grow plants that would not infect us,
Yeah.
essentially.
Our house vegetables are fine.
Yeah.
It's all of the work that we did on growing all
Yeah,
the
it's
stuff
all
outside the
undone.
house.
I think we're going to move to the coast, guys. That's the only way. Wagon hoe off to the coast.
Well, Morgan, that was a lot of fun. That was very
Yeah.
creepy as we went
Yeah.
along.
Yeah, I had a lot of dread.
I hope you all enjoyed it.
Yes.
Did.
But,
did.
Our players included Julian Arba, David Gasway, Victor Grout, Troy Lehman, and myself with Morgan Llewellyn as the warden. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members. You can set up private games. You can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, Podbean, or iTunes. Support for the show is provided by our patrons who are listed in the closing credits. If you'd like to show us your appreciation, please visit our Patreon page, or you can use the thanks button just below the screen. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the strange and sometimes terrifying universe of the Mothership role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.